Let's see how you do under pressure. Yeah, I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra. Fuck with me, you know that I got it. Come with me, let's take a trip to the islands. We up on the jet, we'll do more than just fly on it. Stand on that hill, you gon' die on it.
Yo, what is up? What is up? What is up, homies? Today is April 27, 2025, the year of our Lord. The year of the snake. We don't have our Jake the Snake impersonator here, but he would say, yeah, you know, Damien. I can't do it like JR. Anyways.
Hey, got any crack?
Hey, you got any crack? That's Rusty. That's Rusty. Rusty used to be an indie wrestler, indie worker, and now he's a hypnotist. But anyways, and it's also the year of retirement. It's the retirement of John Cena. I'm just going to stop saying potential retirement because it's sounding more and more like it's going to happen.
He's done. He's done. 100%.
He's done. We'll talk more about that when it comes to Raw because he let it be known. And potential Bill Goldberg. The things that I predicted at WrestleMania didn't happen, and I was slightly surprised. I was really surprised. It was good. And Jeff Jarrett, I don't know anything about that. Apparently he's retiring. Who knows? We also had
they killed it. They killed that story.
Yeah. We also he
literally hasn't been mentioned on TV since that stupid ass angle with MJF.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also had the retirement this past weekend of one Fuego del Sol. He had a tag team match. He got pinned, and then the stipulation of the tag team match is if he lost, he had to retire. And so he ate the pin in the tag team match, and they unmasked him in front of the crowd, and don't know where that's going.
Darn.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like, Fuego del Sol didn't do much in the ring. A lot of people don't know him. He was really famous on what was that? What was that YouTube show that AEW had? I forgot because it's not even around. AEW Dark, I think. At any rate, yeah, that one. But at any rate, yeah, man, and it's also the year of returns. We saw more returns this year, or WrestleMania and WrestleMania Raw and SmackDown. Really excited for them. I know Chris has some thoughts, but we'll save those for when we get to the show. And man, right before we get into anything, Chris, how's your week been?
It's been rough, man. Work has been okay, but like yesterday, our conversation that kind of just took a lot out of me. So, it's been okay, man. It's end of month, so I'm working late. I think I worked till 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. Monday and Tuesday, and then 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. on Wednesday. So, yeah, I'm just really tired. I got a haircut yesterday, and yeah.
Looks good on you, man. Looks good on you. Oh, man, my fucking week.
How are you feeling?
I can't talk about what's been going on just because it's not over yet. And if somebody decides to pop their head in here, I don't want to feel like I'm being watched. But anyways, it's been rough. It's been a rough week. Good week, productive week, but rough week nonetheless. I planted more seeds for my garden, which is great. I had Reiki done, and I'm potentially looking at moving to West Virginia again. So, but buying this time, not living with my dad. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, dude, the future is wild. It's unpredictable. But anyways, we have a tradition that we do on here before every show, before we get into things. And we're going to pop the top on what we're drinking. I got a lot to drink here, man. But Chris, what are you drinking?
Big ass Monster because I need it.
Do you remember the BFC?
Yes, and they got rid of it because people were fucking getting sick.
Dog, I had one of those when I was in the Army, and I swear to God, like I thought I was going to die.
Dude, it took me almost an entire day to finish that shit.
Took me 2 hours.
Yeah, fuck that.
Way too much caffeine in one can.
Like this is already too much. I mean, this is like I think the size right under the BFC. So I mean, this isn't any better. But
Yeah. I've got Alani New, the orange kiss. I love this flavor. We're not sponsored. I got Alani.
I will never get tired of hearing that.
We're not sponsored. I've got Alani New Cosmic Stardust. It's okay. And then I've got some H2O. I'm trying to intake more water, but it looks like I'm not trying to intake more water. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and pop top on what we're drinking, and cheers to all the people not watching right now that should be. Cheers. There we go.
Yo, the fucking smoke coming out of it when I open it.
Right, dude, that thing was huge. But at any rate, man. Pause. But yeah, at any rate, I haven't shared this on Facebook, and you know what? I'm gonna check because there's nobody watching. I mean, it is a Sunday, so people got shit going on. But so at any rate, we're gonna be covering today in wrestling history. We're gonna be covering edit post. I haven't done that yet. I should have. I always go in and edit the post. And I put at highlights so people can actually see it. But at any rate, we're going to cover Kyle. What's up, Bubba? What's up, Bubba? Kyle's not a wrestling fan. He just like to pop in here and say what's up. But at any rate, so we're going to cover today in wrestling history. Then we're going to cover Stand and Deliver, Raw or WrestleMania Night 1 and 2. And we're going to cover Raw after WrestleMania, NXT, and Smackdown after WrestleMania. And so, dude, Chris, this past 2 weeks has been fucking crazy. Very unpredictable. It's been full of a lot of speculation. And we'll get to that because WWE laid that speculation to bed. There's also some drama that happened that not a lot of people are talking about in the wrestling world. One Mr. Tony Hinchcliffe and his roles. We'll talk about that.
I mean, yeah, we'll talk about that. We don't have to glaze over that too long because it's people's outrage of things in this community is completely phony. So I don't think it's not drama that Triple H and TKO were fucking worried about. So it is what it is.
No, and there was no damage control that had to happen.
Exactly.
So, I mean, essentially it was just, and the thing is like the way they advertised it, I thought that it was going to be aired after WrestleMania.
No, they couldn't have aired that shit.
They couldn't have. If they would have, it would have been like, this shit has to be rated MA. But at any rate, we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at today in wrestling history. So today in wrestling history, you know what? What is this? Okay. What are you? Okay. Anyways, today in wrestling history, it looks like there's a rumble there. April 27th, today in wrestling history. So we're starting off in 1957. 1957. Jesus Christ. The first known women's tag team match took place in St. Louis as June Byers and Chyna Mira were victorious over Bonnie Watson and Penny Banner. I don't know who any of these people are.
What was the first name?
1981. Tommy Rich won the NWA World. The first one was June Byers.
I've heard of her. Never heard of the other ones.
I have no clue who June Byers. Okay. So 1981, Tommy Rich won the NWA Heavyweight Championship in Augusta, Georgia, with the win over Harley Race. Cool. 1987, one of the most famous matches in Memphis wrestling history went down when Austin Idol defeated Jerry the King Lawler to win the AWA Southern Heavyweight Championship hair versus hair steel cage match that saw Lawler lose his title and his hair. That's a lot of stipulations going on in one fucking match.
Yeah, no shit.
Jesus Christ. Hair versus hair steel cage match for the AWA sub. Jesus, that's a tongue twister. 1992, at a WCW Worldwide TV taping in Atlanta, Georgia, Barry Windham beat Stunning Steve Austin to win the WCW World Television Champion in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Cool. 1999, WWE taped the pilot episode of Smackdown in New Haven, Connecticut. Yeah. The pilot, what the fuck? Okay, I don't know what's going on here. My shit just froze. Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, hold on. Okay, we're here. And my computer froze for some reason. All right, so we're going to start over on 1999. WWE taped the pilot episode of SmackDown in New Haven, Connecticut. The pilot was supposed to be a one-off air on UPN to test the viability of the show on network television. When aired, it became the first WWE show on network television in the USA since Saturday Night's Main Event in November '92. The show was headlined by a blockbuster tag team match with Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock defeating The Undertaker and Triple H. The other noteworthy angle on the show saw Shane McMahon and Undertaker merge their corporation and Ministry of Darkness into the faction of the Corporate Ministry. While I liked the Corporate Ministry, I felt like it did not need to happen.
It was a storyline that brought a lot of intrigue to what they were going to do. I thought it was just, let's give all these guys TV time, and there was really no true direction.
Facts. 2003, WWE's Backlash pay-per-view was held in Worcester Centrum in Worcester, Massachusetts. In the main event, Goldberg made his WWE pay-per-view debut over The Rock. Win over The Rock. That was one, and honestly, I think that feud was one of my more favorite feuds of Goldberg's. Was him and The Rock.
Because they built it up right.
They did, absolutely, because it took place it started the night after WrestleMania, so it's crazy. 2008, WWE Backlash took place at the First Mariner Arena in Baltimore, Maryland. In the main event, Triple H defeated Randy Orton, John Cena, and JBL to retain the WWE Championship. Also on the card, Matt Hardy defeated MVP to win the United States Championship, and Undertaker beat Edge to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't remember that.
The Edge and Undertaker.
Well, I was in the Army at that time. Yeah. 2008, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship changed hands in Osaka, Japan when Kojima Muto defeated Nakamura. 2014, TNA Wrestling Sacrifice pay-per-view took place in the Impact Zone in Orlando, Florida. In the main event, Eric Young retained the TNA Heavyweight Championship against Magnus. The night's opening match saw the Wolves, or Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards, defeat the Bromans of Robbie E. and Jesse Goddard, along with DJ Z in the handicap no disqualification match to win the TNA Tag Team Championships. 2015, Vern Gagne passed away at 89. His death was thought to be as a result of... What's up?
That was my bad. Sorry.
Okay. 2015, Vern Gagne passed away at the age of 89. His death was thought to be as a result of Alzheimer's disease. He passed away in his home in Bloomington, Minnesota. 2018, WWE held the greatest Royal Rumble event in King Abdullah Entertainment Stadium in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. I think this was the first Saudi Arabia show, if I'm not
wrong. I don't think it was the first one.
You might be right. This was the first. Well, no. Okay, this is going to clear it up. This was the first event to be held under a multi-year deal between WWE and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, designed to shine a positive international PR spotlight on the country. The main event of the show saw a 50-man version of the Royal Rumble match that was won by Braun Strowman. The match itself had a number of curious entries, including various NXT brand wrestlers that appeared without any apparent logic, including Tucker Knight, development names yet to be signed to NXT. Some guys. A sumo wrestler who had never involved in professional wrestling and hasn't since. And several names. What the fuck? Okay. and several names from WWE's past, like the Great Khali and Hornswoggle, and even Chris Jericho were mere days before he was due to wrestle in New Japan. The rest of the card was John Cena defeating Triple H, Cedric Alexander defeating Kalisto to retain the Cruiserweight Championship. Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy defeated The Bar to win the Raw Tag Team Championships. Jeff Hardy defeated Jinder Mahal to retain the United States Championship. The Bludgeon Brothers defeated Jimmy and Jay to retain the SmackDown Championships. Look, people forget how good the Bludgeon Brothers were. Seth Rollins retained the Intercontinental Championship in a 4-way ladder match over Samoan Joe, a Samoan named Joe, Finn Balor and The Miz. AJ Styles retained the WWE Championship against Nakamura. The Undertaker defeated Rusev in a casket match, most random of all.
Wasn't that one?
Brock Lesnar defeated Roman Reigns in a cage match to retain the uniform. Was that what?
Wasn't the Rusev Taker match not televised?
It was televised, but it was very last minute. It was put together because I can't remember who they initially. They initially had, I think, Jericho in the match, but Jericho was going to New Japan. They didn't want to have him lose going out the door. And then we saw Braun Strowman win the 50-man Greatest Royal Rumble match, eliminating Big Cass. Notable wrestling birthdays: Johnny Devine, 1974, and Violet J, ICP, 1972. Woo woo! Violet J. Whoop whoop. But anyways, that was your day in wrestling history. Quite the array of different things in that. So, Chris, you want to cover Stand Down and Deliver?
Yeah, really quick. I just want to talk about the Rumble event. It also had probably arguably one of the funniest moments in the world, where Titus World Slide made his debut, and Corey Graves burst out laughing on commentary.
Yeah, when remember Titus O'Neil fucking slid under the ring.
God, dude, that was so fucking funny.
That's one of the best bloopers I've ever seen in my life.
I don't remember that entire show, like not even a little bit. How did you feel about Woken Matt Hardy?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was a watered down version of Broken Matt Hardy. And I know a lot of people love the Broken gimmick or the Broken universe. I thought WWE, I think we had talked about this on a few shows back.
There was a lawsuit going on when that whole thing
happened. Yeah, there was a lawsuit going on, and so they couldn't do Broken Matt Hardy. But I think it served its purpose, right? And there's a lot, and I'm going to say this about a lot of things, especially at WrestleMania. Some things served their purpose. We may not like it, but it served its purpose. So I think Woken Matt Hardy was good. It served its purpose. And then you saw the Deleters of Worlds, and that was great. I love that. It was completely unexpected. And that was one of the tag teams, one of the thrown together tag teams that on paper does not make sense, but in reality, dude, it was great.
I mean, I think even on paper it made sense if you look at both characters and how they work.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the Firefly Funhouse and then you look at the Broken Universe. I mean,
but I mean,
side with each other.
I think at the time, because he hadn't gone to the Fiend character yet.
Right, but he was still doing the cinematic shit. Remember the House of Horrors?
Yeah, he was doing that. So I mean, I agree with you. I think it, it's right. But the Woken Matt Hardy, I think, served its purpose. It was a watered down version. They did have the cinematic matches, which was great. But I feel like if they were going to do the Woken Matt Hardy, they should have done, Brother Nero as well.
Where was Jeff at that time? Was he in the company? Yeah, he was in the company, right?
He was, but they I think he got injured. And he was out, and then they formed the Deleter of Worlds, and then there was a backstage segment when he returned, and
didn't Bray say,
"Brother Nero, I knew you'd come." Yeah,
love it.
Yeah. He said, "Brother Nero, I knew you'd come." But then that was right after Jeff returned to be in that 6-man tag team match on the night after WrestleMania. On the Raw after WrestleMania. So,
right.
I mean, like I said, I wish that they would have played on the Brother Nero thing a little bit more. Also, side note before we dive into that, there's some things that happened this week and even this month that were fucking awesome. TNA had the ultimate deletion with the Hardys against Nick Nemeth and Ryan Nemeth, and that was good. It was entertaining. I chuckled because they dived deep into how Ryan Nemeth has not done anything in the wrestling business.
I love it.
They shit all over him to the point where like there was a scene where and it involved King Maxwell. I don't know, Chris. I don't know if you watched it, but
I saw clips.
okay. So there was a part where the Hardy kids were in a movie theater, like a home movie theater, and they were watching Ryan Nemeth get his ass beat by King Maxwell, and then it flashed to Ryan Nemeth laying on like a shrink's chair, and King Maxwell writing things down, and you know and then he said something. He was like, I think Ryan said, "There's something in me missing." And then Maxwell was like, "Did you ever hug your parents?" And then Ryan starts crying. He's like, "I never hugged my parents." And then he was like, and then Maxwell was like, "That's $500 more for the emotional damage."
I gotta watch that now. That sounds fucking great.
It was very entertaining. And then there was a part where Ryan got drowned, and when he came, or is either he got drowned or Maxwell did something to him, and he came out as the emo version of Ryan, like a younger version. And in the background, they had Simple Plan playing. Perfect by Simple Plan, dude. It was fucking great. And Ryan had like this long hair. He had this like pale white face with black lipstick and black eyeliner. And it opened up, dude. It opened up with the brothers walking into the compound and them splitting up like you should never do in a horror movie, but they split up, and Nick was like walking in. He's seen this like this fucking umbrella. It was like white and green.
Yeah,
and then,
yeah, the Willow doing Not Like Us.
Funny. Yeah, and there was Willow doing Not Like Us, like dancing Not Like Us. That shit was funny. Yeah. So Ultimate Deletion was really enjoyable. One of the more enjoyable ones that I've seen. And then the second thing was MWL had their final riot. It's like a battle royal, if you will, or a Royal Rumble, if you will. But they add different stipulations into it, so it's not like it. So pinfalls and submissions are in the match, and so that was really cool to see. And also weapons. I mean, weapons have always been a part of Royal Rumbles, but this one was encouraged. So like you saw the likes. There was a whole bunch of CMLL guys there, like guys I had never seen before or heard of. They had Ultimo Guerrero, which I've only heard about. I've never seen. But the man's like in his 70s doing Hurricane Rana's like better than any of the fucking luchadors now. And then Matt Riddle. This was the actual first final final riot, I guess, where the heavyweight championship, the MLW championship, was on the line. Matt Riddle's their champion, but also in the Rumble they had. RVD made an appearance, and it came down to Riddle and RVD. That was really cool because they're friends in real life, and they do herbal supplements. That's the best I can say on here. But also you had Baron Corbin in the match,
Bishop Dyer.
Bishop Dyer, and you had Donovan Dijak in the match, and they're in the stable, and so that's really fucking cool to see them actually out there. Dude, Baron Corbin looks so happy doing Bishop Dyer. He looks so happy doing what he's doing, right? Like working on the indies. And like if you listen to the Chris Van Vliet show when he was interviewed, he said, "I never had that experience of being on the indies and working the indies, and that's something I want to do." And so like seeing him out there working in MLW is great. And he had a blast. He did this nasty ass deep six to Riddle. The motherfucker spun around about 8 times, picked his ass up and spun around. I was like, Jesus Christ, man. But yeah, man, brutal match, really good. Walter Hauser was there, and he was I love him. I love him, and I love him because he's an actor and he actually has trained in professional wrestling. So, in my opinion,
I don't like that he shits on WWE fans. I'm not a fan of that.
yeah, no, I get it. I get it. But he's in the middle of a feud with the reinvented Four Horsemen, and so it's Brock Anderson, CW Anderson, and somebody else, like two other people. I didn't recognize the two other people, but they got eliminated from the match, and Walter Hauser did, and they just continued to fight on the outside. And I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, I'm enjoying it, right? Walter Hauser got busted open probably 2 minutes into the match, and then CW Anderson got busted open like a few minutes after that, dude. And it was just chaos. It was insane. And so, like, I mean, I enjoyed it. It was really cool. Matt Riddle retained his championship. It was really cool. Very enjoyable.
Surprised they have that title on him.
Yeah. And then on top of that, they had a friend of my podcast, Jesus Rodriguez. He was in it, also formerly known as Ricardo Rodriguez, and he was in it, and he had a blast. He was having fun. It was cool to see him. I'm going to end up going to one of his shows. He runs his own promotion in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, called Three Legacies Wrestling. And I've been invited multiple times. I just haven't had the opportunity now. But now that there ain't no ring on the finger, nobody's stopping me. I'm going to go. There was never a ring on the finger, but there definitely was a collar. But anyways, yeah, that was the cool things that I've seen in wrestling this week, man. I've kind of branched out a little bit and seen and looked at other things.
I forgot to tell you, I took 3 days off after WrestleMania, and I binge watched the LFG 2 days straight.
Dude, tell me how good that shit is.
So good. I fucking hate that BJ guy more than anything in the world.
BJ sucks. BJ sucks.
Trash human being.
I really like Bailey. Bailey Humphrey.
Bailey's a beast.
Yes. And her fucking finishing move, the new one that she came up with, great. And like the woman is a natural heel. She's like she is a natural sweetheart, but she is a natural fucking heel. And
Danny's another one who I like a lot. Danny's really good.
Yeah, I like him, and I see Holyfield's kid coming up, and he's got
potential.
Yeah, he does. He's got a lot
of fucking potential.
And I'm gonna throw this out there, man. If they're still around when he gets called up, if he gets to the main roster, which I hope he does, I'd love to see him team up or be in a stable with the Prophets, man.
I could totally see that.
Jesus Christ, he has their aesthetic. He carries himself like them. I mean, for fuck's sake, he looks like Montez Ford.
Yeah.
And so, like, that could be the power behind them, right? But anyways, that's fantasy booking. Who's the dude that's missing the tooth? I like him too.
Shiloh.
I like Shiloh. He reminds me of like a mixture between Bray Wyatt and Roman.
What's up, Will?
Will says, just stopping by to say hi, doing yard work with the family. All right, brother. Thanks for being here. Thanks for popping in. I love you, man. I like Shiloh a lot. He's like a mixture of Roman and Bray. That's what he reminds me of. Especially at the beginning when he was cutting.
Maybe not so much Roman. I see more of the Bray look than I see Roman.
Well, so I say Roman because like at the he reminds me of a younger Roman, like Lakey when he was in FCW. Or Ohio Valley Wrestling, right? Like that's the Roman it reminds me of because like you've got when he did the promo at the beginning of the season, right? He was out there and like he was trying to be nice and shit, which is what Roman used to do when he first came to the roster after the Shield broke up. And then they were like, take the fucking collar off, essentially. Take the collar off and unleash. And the man cut a hell of a promo.
What's the really big dude's name that Booker likes a lot? Not Anthony Luke, the other guy.
Oh, the dude that not Anthony Luke, not the dude with the dreads. He is good.
That dude is a fucking monster.
Yeah. Also, I noticed that one of the guys on LFG is now in the new stable.
Dark State. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so I haven't seen him like perform in the ring.
I think that's by proxy. I think that's on purpose.
Yeah, yeah.
because I don't think there was a plan for him to be in there.
No.
And I think the Dark State stuff just kind of happened.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, we're going to have him in here. He's not going to be under contract.
Yeah. Dude, but I really enjoy LFG. I got to catch up on this week's episode. I think it comes out tonight.
Yeah, it comes out today. Yeah.
But I think my favorite people on the show, like Punk coming on there, Gunther, when Gunther was on there and he just shit on everybody.
It was fucking great because he literally laid into fucking everybody.
Yeah, and he wasn't like any of the other guests that came on there that were like really encouraging. Like he was like, he gave it to him straight. He didn't break kayfabe. He literally came in there and was like, if this is what you want to be, if this is where you want to go, you got to work hard.
I thought Punk was great too.
Punk was good. That promo that old boy cut on Punk. Woo! Woo! I thought it was good. I thought it was good because it brought a lot of realism into it, right? And
it did, but the bend the knee at the very end, I think it kind of flatlined that promo.
That did. The bend the knee thing didn't do anything. I think it would have served a better purpose if he said if and when we meet face to face again, I'm gonna beat that ass. That would have been so much better than bend the knee. But yeah, dude, it was good because except for that part, because it brought realism in, and it's saying everything that wrestling fans of that generation that loved Punk felt. And so I mean that was really awesome to see. But LFG is dope.
Yeah.
LFG is great. Chris, do you want to cover Stand and Deliver?
Yep.
All right. By the way, I did watch it. I missed the first match and the last match.
Dog. You missed the main event?
I missed the main event. Well, my sister had messaged me and said that she was going through some shit. So I just rushed over there, picked her up. It was like an hour drive, so I spent like 4 hours on the road altogether. Yep.
All right, so we started off with Ricky Saints and Ethan Page.
I did see that.
Really good back and forth match. Ricky continues to prove why he is very fit for the NXT brand. I think it's one of WWE's best recent signings because he's literally got everything. You want talent, you want charisma, you want mic skills, you want character. That's Ricky Saints. Ethan Page too. And it's funny that HBK is booking Ricky against all the AEW guys, and I think that's HBK sticking it to Tony. It's this is how you book these talents, and this is how you showcase their talent. Look at Lexus. I think Lexus is probably the greatest example of all this. Lexus King is a guy who not one person when he signed on to NXT thought that it was a great idea or that he was going to do anything significant. Now look at him. A year later, however long it's been now, he's been great. He's evolved his character. His promos are fucking great. And you're seeing a lot of shades of his father. And it makes me very excited to see what the next couple of years are going to look like for him because he's going to grow into a pretty good, probably mid-card guy just like his father.
Yeah.
But Ricky and Paige tore the house down. Ricky retained his title. Next match we have is Fraxium against Hank and Tank. And, me and JR have came on here week on week saying how much we didn't care for Hank and Tank, right? These guys single-handedly won me over with one match, and that was this match. It was not given to them. Fraxium was not fed to them. Fraxium didn't look stupid to them. And they completely won me over. They got an entire fucking crowd in Las Vegas behind them. And all we know how hard it is to get over with fans. So fucking full props to them. They won the tag titles, Fraxium, and we'll talk about what happened with them when we get to that show. Then we had a little backstage segment with Lexus King with the popular magicians, Penn and Teller. They made the Heritage Cup trophy disappear. Then we had the third match, which was the women's ladder match for the NXT North American Championship. And man, this women's division is untouchable. From SmackDown to NXT, it is untouchable. And
real quick. Chelsea Green just posted up on Instagram. I don't know if you've seen it, but she said, "Goodbye for now, WWE. This is my farewell address." I don't know if that means she's leaving or taking time off.
she's probably taking time off. I would hope that they're not stupid enough to let her walk.
Yeah. Agreed. That was posted 2 hours ago in one of the groups I'm in. Okay, continue.
We had a lot of back and forth. We had Thea Hale make her return last week, so she had a nice little showing in there. A lot of really nice spots. We ended the match with Sol Ruka doing a really athletic fucking spot to get that North American title, and she's our new champion.
Dude, when she was spawning that soul snatcher just everywhere, I was like, God damn, this woman got it.
I think that's one of the best finishes in the business right now. It's incredible.
Yeah,
it looks like the RKO when Randy was the Legend Killer.
Yeah, it really is.
Then we had Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley backstage talking about how they are busting their asses last couple months and that they're ready to come back for the women's tag team championships. They also had a championship match for TNA. Next match we had was the Family versus Dark State. And we had a nice little plot twist at the end here. We had Stax Lorenzo turn on Tony D.
I thought that it was going to be the other way around.
And I was very surprised to see it happen. I'm glad he didn't come out as the leader for Dark State because I don't think that'd be a right fit. But Dark State won that match in their PLE debut. So congrats to them.
Dude, let's talk about it. Tony D's demeanor, the whole fucking match, it was like lifeless.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, I was sitting there on the couch with my buddy Rusty, and I was like, dude, I have a feeling Tony D's gonna turn. And then they swerved us all.
Yeah.
That was
and
great.
I think that's the way you do it. You make one person look really obvious and then the other person just like innocent, and then you pull the trigger. This past Tuesday, they had a masterpiece of a segment with the Family, and we'll talk about that when we get to it. But Jesus Christ, Tony D's calling might be bigger than wrestling because he is fantastic.
Yeah.
But great match. Dark State shined pretty bright. Then we had the Fatal 4-Way with Valkyrie, Julia, Jordan Grace, and Jada Parker. Man, I said it with the ladder match. Untouchable women's division. Stephanie being the champion is arguably one of the best choices they've ever made. I think Stephanie is at the top of the entire company. I don't think anybody's better than her. Maybe Io. I would say Io's right there with Stephanie.
Yeah,
but
we'll talk about that on Monday.
Yeah. In the ring, I think Stephanie is fucking incredible.
She's great.
And she proved that in that Fatal 4-Way match, and she retained. Jordan Grace had a nice little showing there. Jada Parker continues to impress every single week. I definitely see a title around her waist in the next 6 months, maybe 3 months.
Yeah.
After that match, we had Sarah Schreiber chase after Stax trying to get an answer. He calls Luca, tells him to keep his phone on. He's going to explain his actions on Tuesday, and we'll talk about that. Next week, we had either Liv Morgan and Raquel or Bailey and Lyra against Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. Then we have the main event. Oba Femi, Trick Williams, and Javon Evans. Once again, something that I had speculated on didn't happen. And like I said before, I think it was great that there was no interference. There was no bullshit finish. In my humble opinion, Javon Evans is the future. I think there is nobody his age, and that includes Nick Wayne, that includes any young talent that is on the AEW roster who is in the ages of 20 to 23, are on that level that Javon is on. And I mean that in a respectful way, not a I hate AEW way. That is as real as development gets in Javon Evans. He can cut a promo. His ring work is incredible. His selling, bro. Let's talk about this motherfucker selling for a second.
Yeah.
This dude gets power bombed on a fucking apron, and it looks like he just had a fucking stroke. Like, Javon is untouchable in that fucking ring. Untouchable. And I truly think that him having a title within the next 6 months is in that company's best interest.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I was hoping he was going to win.
Yeah, I mean, they need to put it on. That kid is so over. Like, he's as over now as Trick was last year as Stand and Deliver.
I would argue to even say maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trick's character has also shifted since then, so it's not going to be the same. But I think that Javon being as young as he is and as hungry as he is, Trick doesn't come off as hungry anymore.
Absolutely.
And maybe that's by design of his character.
Yeah.
But I'm very confused of why he hasn't debuted on the main roster yet.
I agree. I wonder if they're waiting on a big spot or a spot to open up for him.
Yeah.
And then, we got Obafemi too. That man is just an absolute monster.
Fucking incredible. And it makes me wonder who they're going to have take the title off of him. Because I can't think of anybody on the roster outside of fucking Javon who would benefit from taking that title from Oba.
Nope.
Because Trick has already had the title.
Yep.
Ethan's already had the title. Ricky is not going to be on that level just yet. Maybe another 3-4 months, I'd say, if his character develops that heavy. I don't think Lexus is going to get pushed to that level.
Tony D doesn't.
No, fuck no. Keep Tony D away from that title. And again, I say this with all due respect to Tony. I think his second North American title run was fucking abysmal and should have never happened. And I don't know why they decided to put him over Oba because it made no fucking sense. And granted, Oba got the NXT championship after, but it's like anybody.
The booking doesn't make sense.
Anybody but Tony D could have benefited from that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just think Tony is, for some reason, in his character where he's being booked, it just kind of feels like he's not contributing very well to the division that he's in, and his character hasn't really evolved outside of what we saw this past Tuesday. And again, which isn't a bad thing because his acting skills are fucking incredible. Yeah. And you can put him on a CW mob show and he would shine so bright.
Oh yeah. But you could insert him into a mob movie and it'd be fine.
Yeah, and I'm just not convinced of his character. So I don't want to see Tony D as a champion.
Yeah, I'd love to see him get called up. I think that it would be great for him. I feel like his NXT run served its purpose.
Yeah, it's ran its course. 100%.
It's ran its course, right? Like I don't want to see him be a career NXT guy. No, he's worth more than that.
And you know what? I think that was one of Johnny Gargano's biggest problems was he was a career NXT guy.
Yep.
Because look at outside of what he's doing now in that TLC when we talk about it, he wasn't getting reactions because he's still in the NXT warehouse mentality.
Yep.
Like how many super kicks can I throw in a fucking match? Kind of shit.
Right. I agree.
But I think Stand and Deliver was all hits and no misses.
I agree. All hits, no misses. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna cover WrestleMania Night 1, and I got this one before the show even started. So it was in Vegas. Whatever. We all know that. Before the show even started on the pre-show, they said that Ray had suffered an injury from the night before, and he was out of the match, but he was being replaced by Ray Phoenix. So that was good. I'm glad they put Ray Phoenix in there instead of Dragon Lee. Nothing against Dragon Lee, but Ray Phoenix needs that exposure, right? He needs that exposure in a.
You could argue that same thing with Dragon Lee, though.
Yeah, I agree. But Dragon Lee was at WrestleMania last year, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. Wait, was it?
I think he was. Wasn't he? No, he was. I think he was in the six man tag team match. LWO
right.
versus. Yeah. So having Dragon Lee in that spot I mean, would be good, and he would put on a great match. But I feel like Ray Phoenix needed that exposure, and the fact that Ray Phoenix has only been in the company for 2 weeks, got a WrestleMania match, says a lot. Says a lot about the trust that they have in him. But we also learned that WWE bought AAA, the Mexican, and it's perfect, right? And I feel like this is going to open up a lot of doors for men and women that would not have the door open for them at all, would not have that exposure, would not have anything. And we got a surprise visit from somebody that we've never seen on WWE television.
Was not on my bingo card.
Not on my bingo card whatsoever. Like you only saw him on AEW, you see him on TNA sometimes, you see him in AAA and some of the like CMLL, and that was Vikingo, and like that was huge for him to be shown on WWE TV, and he was in the background. Triple H took the picture with him. That was cool. But that announcement is massive, absolutely massive, and it's great for the luchadors that are in the company, right? It's great because they don't always get that exposure, right? Like unless you're a big name, you don't get that exposure. And now that they have that outlet, they can work their style in AAA. And
did you hear who's going to run AAA? The creative?
No.
Jeremy Borsch.
Oh yeah, Jeremy Borash. Yeah, he's running creative for that. So that's really good. Incredible. Yeah. And so, I've seen a lot of shit online where people are like WWE's copy and pasting, where AEW did a partnership with CMLL, but they didn't buy CMLL. And nobody in that promotion benefits from being on AEW. And they had the partnership with
Here's my thing about that, man. People want to sit here and bitch about WWE doing all these partnerships and everything, right? When Vince was in charge, what was the number one complaint that everybody who was anti-WWE had? They don't work with indies. They don't work with other companies. They bury other companies, right?
Yeah.
WWE has bought AAA, who you could argue, maybe they weren't doing well financially. Maybe they weren't selling tickets. I don't know the situation there. But being put on a global, not a fucking national, not a regional, a global fucking arena or platform, rather, like WWE. AEW could buy CMLL, but they're not going to do anything with CMLL because look at a Ring of Honor. Mm-hmm. If that doesn't tell you what Tony's intentions are with other companies, I don't know what the fuck could. Because look what they did with Mercedes and Athena. People want to tout and say that match was great, bro. It ended in a fucking roll-up.
Yeah.
Roll-up.
Yeah. I was watching highlights from one of Mercedes matches because I wanted to see like what everybody's saying, because I just don't watch it anymore. And I don't remember who she was fighting. It was one of her last matches that she had.
Was it the Rev Pro match?
No. It was in AEW, but she was wearing all red, like there's a thing to Eddie, and like it was not good. There were so many botches, so many missed spots. Say again?
I said I think it was the Athena match, either that or it was Julia.
Okay, well, I mean, either way, it was terrible. I didn't enjoy it, and I actually turned it off after. She tried to get to the second rope and she slipped and then just did an arm drag, and I was like, you recovered, but still you suck. And I just turned it off, right? Nothing against women in wrestling, man, but like she is not good and she needs to go back.
Everything against Mercedes. I cannot stand that bitch.
Yeah. But going into WrestleMania, man, the opening match. Look, first off, I love Jelly Roll. But I don't want to see Jelly Roll sing God Bless America again.
What? I thought he did great.
Personally, I mean, I'm hit or miss. But I'm not going to judge too hard because it's a fucking stadium. But anyways, so I'm reading off my phone, so that's why I'm angled this way. But anyways, our opening match was Jey Uso versus Gunther. God damn. Okay, look, man. I told, I think, we all agreed that we were more invested in the storyline since they ramped it up with Jimmy getting bloodied the fuck up. And so they came out there. Jay took all of Gunther's shots, man, all of them. The power bomb, the splash. The only thing he didn't take was the top rope power bomb. I felt like that would have been a match ender. Yeah. he took the rear naked choke. Dude took submissions, man, and he took everything. And then came back. I didn't have it in my bingo cards that Jay was going to powerbomb Gunther, because Jay doesn't do a powerbomb, right? Jay doesn't do German suplexes. Jay sticks to what he knows. But he started pulling out Gunther's playbook. And then, he hit the splashes, the 3 splashes, and I was like, oh, that's it. He's going to pin him. Nope. He made him submit. And that was the most beautiful ending to a fucking championship match I've ever seen.
And while my initial opinion was like, what the fuck was that? What did you just do to Gunther? Then I thought about it. It's like, okay, it makes sense for Gunther's character the way that he lost. Because if you remember going back to NXT UK days with Ilya Dragunov, Ilya is one of the only people to have choked him out. Just like that. And Gunther is the type of wrestler, he's a smart wrestler. If he knows he can't get out of something, he's not going to try. So his back is already in pain. He's already winded from taking those splashes and the power bomb. So he tapped out. I immediately said, okay, you either go one of 2 ways. You either don't have Gunther on TV and just have him job out to Jay like he just did, or you turn him into a fucking Terminator again. Because that is the only fucking way that you book Gunther. Period.
And we'll talk about what happened on Monday, because that was
we'll talk about that, because I said that shit with the Damien thing. They ruined Gunther with Damien. Yeah. And I felt like going into that Jay feud, I felt like it was really difficult for him to bounce back, because it's like, okay, I'm going to have 3 not so great matches, and this is going to be building up to WrestleMania. So either this is going to be really good or it's going to be really shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most cinematic part of that movie, or like pure cinema of that movie, was when, like, right before the choke was applied and Gunther was like walking over to the ropes, and he grabbed the ropes and he got up on his knees. And then you saw Jay just grab the back of his hair and sink in that rear naked choke. I was like, God damn it, this man is brutal. And what even got me more is there was no celebration. There was celebration. Jay didn't look happy at all. And that's the fucked up part that I found most fucked up, was like there was no celebration at the end. Jimmy came out, handed him the title, and he like held the title up, but there was like he didn't show that he was happy about it. And so I don't know like what had happened, if there was anything that happened. But like to me, that was really surprising, right? Because most people, when they win that WrestleMania, or even a championship at WrestleMania, they're fucking happy.
So I actually have a thought on that. While you were saying it, I was thinking about it, and the only thing that I can think of is you finally overcome something so that has caused so much adversity in your life, right? It happens to you and I every single day. Yep. What happens when we initially pass that shit? Deep breath. Wow. Holy shit, I did it. And
but even on Raw, though.
You're not. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. You're not overly happy about it. You're still processing. Yeah. And some people, especially guys like Jay, maybe it takes a little bit for him to process. Because if you look at his press conference, he was celebrating in his own way. And
he was litty. He was a litty at the post.
And I just feel like guys like him, who have basically been told that you're a tag team guy your whole fucking career, just to be given that chance. Imagine if Brian Kendrick was given a fair chance at the title run. I think it would have been the same thing. This isn't real. This isn't real. I'm not really the fucking champion. Yeah,
absolutely. And so I did the opening match, and then in no particular order because it's not listed in order here. You got Jade and Naomi, and God damn it, these two women beat the shit out of each other, and it's really good.
Shout out to fucking Jade, bro. This was her best singles match next to that Liv Morgan match she had. Holy fuck.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And a total story, right? And Jade didn't go in there and decimate her. She went in there and had a solid match with Naomi. And like, I'll have to say, I think that this was close to Naomi's best match too.
I think it was too, because I'm not really a big fan of Naomi. I think she's a below average wrestler. I think her character is pretty solid. I think the caution tape stuff is a little corny, especially the proceed with caution line. I think that's really corny. But I'll give her her props and say that she's a great hand to have in that wrestling ring, especially since she has returned from TNA. I think she's a very solid worker.
Absolutely. Next match, we had El Grande Americano versus Rey Fenix. And like I'm going to say right off the bat, when they brought El Grande Americano out, I knew that there was a lot of rage online, and it's fake rage. I'm just going to say it is fake rage, politically driven. Because when they announced him being from the Gulf of America.
You know why?
People got so pissed off.
Yep. I think they had to switch it to Mexico because of the Triple H thing, though.
Yeah. And so... No, I mean they still kept it as the Gulf of America for the announcement, and like so, that shit was funny as fuck. And then he went ringside and started messing with Vikingo, and Vikingo kicked him in the goddamn face.
Bro, this man.
So that was cool to see another.
He's not even signed to the company. That's crazy.
Right. Yeah. He got a platform, and he's not even signed to the company. Really good match. I feel like the match went the way that it was supposed to go, even if Rey Mysterio was in the match. I thought Rey was going to win and unmask El Grande, but looking now, I feel like that's the way that it was meant to go. And so El Grande picked up the win over Rey Fenix. I'm not even mad because both of them put on a hell of a show.
Right.
And I mean, I would have loved to see Rey Fenix get the win. But the thing is they're both new characters, right? So like you got Rey Fenix, he's brand new to the company. El Grande, his character is brand new to the company. So you like either way, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose, and to have it be a double count out or a double disqualification wouldn't make sense. So next we had Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair, and like I'm going to be honest, dude. The first part of this match, I was not invested in it because it felt like a cat fight. It felt like very uncoordinated.
I think that was done on
purpose. I feel like that's what it was meant to do.
Exactly.
It was meant to be. In the moment, I was like not invested in it, but like going back and thinking about it, like both of these women fucking tore the house down, man. Tore the goddamn house down. And like I honestly thought Tiffany Stratton lost a tooth.
She chipped the tooth, I think.
It was just makeup. She was wearing the black lipstick and it rubbed off on her lips or on her, and it was a mix of that and blood. She was bleeding. Yeah. So, dude, great match. Tiffany won. More power to her. And that entrance she had, dude, the Barbie entrance, that shit was great.
So good.
That shit was great.
Really quick. Shout out to Charlotte, man. I talked about it last time we got on here. It felt like people were just being way too harsh on Ashley. And I truly think her putting over Tiffany was best for her career. I didn't think she was going to go over anyway. And I truly think that Charlotte just wants to help the business. I really do, because this isn't the same Charlotte that Vince was booking. Vince booked that woman to go over everybody. And I think that's one of the biggest problems that we had as Vince was booking was, one, he had his favorites, and two, almost the same people every other 6 months had the title. Yeah, and you're playing hot potato with championships, and you were doing numbers. You weren't doing quality of matches. Right, and I feel like Charlotte is a great worker and does not get enough credit for what she does for that division. There was somebody who was talking in a space saying, Charlotte brings star power to every match that she brings, whether you like her or you don't. Yeah. And the match that she had with Tiffany was meant to be scrappy. It was meant to be a good match. And while it may not have been a 5-star banger like everybody fucking wants, it did what it was meant to do for both of those women. And once again, we're going to harken back to the saying that I said at the beginning of the show. It served its purpose. Exactly. And, it served its purpose, and it did its thing. And, hats off to both of those women. They beat the shit out of each other. Bravo. God damn. Next, we had Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight. Holy fuck. That catching BFT. The time is
catching
now.
BFT that he did.
Jacob Fatu.
Say again?
Babyface. I said, pull the trigger on Jacob Fatu. Babyface.
Yes.
Babyface. Babyface.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you when we get to SmackDown, we're going to talk about that because that's what it looked like they were going for, the direction they're going for. But that Jacob Fatu, man, just you strap a rocket to that motherfucker's back and you just let him go. That man can do work. Not to mention, speaking of in MLW, his younger brother, wrestles in MLW. Looks just like him with bald hair or with a bald head, and that is crazy.
His name Journey.
Yes, Journey Fatu. Yeah. He's gonna when and if they get called to WWE. Goddamn. That's all I'm gonna say. But we seen Jacob Fatu rightfully take the United States Championship, and then there was a picture that was floating around backstage where he had the championship in his mouth, where he's going like that, like Umaga.
He's doing the Umaga thing, yeah, pretty great.
Perfect. Next, and this is the main event for night one. We got Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns versus CM Punk, and dude, I'm gonna say, first off, before the match, when they first showed the promo for this match, I had not known who Machine Head was. I had never listened to Machine Head before.
That's crazy to me.
I just never knew that they were there. And the song was Sailing to the Black. And I'm in love with that fucking song now. I have that motherfucker on repeat. And then there's another song that was playing during WrestleMania for a video package that I have on a playlist that I'm playing on repeat. And when we get to it, I'll talk about it. But perfect, dude. It was perfect. And even the intro for CM Punk. Yeah, where they showed him as straight edge, at the beginning of his career. Yeah. And then they played The Fire Burns, dude. Holy shit. Great callback.
I'm just going to say this, dude. How can you, with a bold fucking face, tell me that AEW is competition?
They're not.
There is not one person on this planet who can convince me that anything they do in that company is better than WWE. The production alone is better than anything AEW has ever done.
Yeah.
Because I recently went back and watched the MJF and CM Punk dog collar match. I'm like, this match really wasn't that good. Like, the build-up was okay, but I really wasn't that impressed. I'm like, damn, this video package sucks.
Well, it kind of that dog collar match kind of reminded me when Raven and Punk had their dog collar match in TNA, where it was okay, right? Mm-hmm. It served its purpose, and I think that's what the dog collar match did there. Was it served its purpose? It ended the feud.
You know what it was for me? I think it was the overabundance of blood again.
Yeah,
and I get that's what the point of the fucking match is, but it's like I've said this over and over. I'm not a blood guy. Yeah. I don't care to see it all over the fucking TV. I thought the Gunther and Jimmy thing was, it was fine. I'm not really into that bloodbath shit. It's not for me. And I think that's one of the biggest things that turned me off of that dog collar match. I'm like, yeah, I don't care.
I think when it comes to blood, and we're talking about blood, I think that there has to be a spot for it, and it has to make sense. Right. And so in a feud that is like Jimmy or Jay and Gunther, right? Yep. That blood was absolutely needed to take that shit to the next level, right? To get you invested. I don't think blood for the sake of having blood is beneficial to anything.
You remember when Brock busted himself open the hard way against Cody?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Absolutely. But I said it, we all said it the show before this show, that we felt like there was something missing in that match that we didn't see, that we're not seeing. And I pointed it out in our group chat and I said, you got to watch the verbiage that Rollins is using, right? Because it's not just about what Punk and Roman are saying. Rollins is that third man. And Rollins is a master manipulator. He's a master fucking technician. Dude just over the moon, over 9,000. Great. But we seen the match close with all four men. Dude, and it fit perfectly because Punk hit the GTS on Roman. And then and then Rollins hit the fucking stomp on Punk, and then Reigns hit the spear on Rollins, dude, and everybody was down. And then they flashed the perfect camera work. They flashed the camera to Paul. Paul walked over and grabbed a chair, and we're like, "Who the fuck is he going to give it to?" And then he hands it to Punk.
I thought he was going to throw it in the middle, to be honest with you.
I thought so too. I really thought he was going to do that, and then he walked into the ring and he handed it to Punk, and I was like, "Oh Jesus!" But then, like when Punk stood up, I was like, "Dude, he's positioned way too weirdly for this to be over." And then he fucking low blowed Punk, and then and the emotion, dude, the emotion in that.
Roman's facial expressions were great.
Yeah, where he was just like scared, and then he started crying because he's like, I'm not going to put that up on the chat, so I'm not going to even address that comment. I know you're looking at the comment too. I am, but anyways, I think exactly what I'm going to delete it. I'm going to ban this user because I know exactly what's coming next. But because this shit happened last show. Yeah. But anyways, but then like he started crying, right? And like Paul handed him the chair, and then Paul low blowed him.
I don't like how obvious they made that turn on Roman. I hated that. It was so stupid.
I would have liked it better if Paul was positioned differently, where he was in the corner and Roman went to swing the chair.
Sorry. This is how I would have done it. After he low blowed Punk, have him stand on the apron after the Punk thing was done, give the chair to Roman, and point out that Rollins is right there. Mm-hmm. And then before he goes to swing, calls Roman over there and says, "I want you to end his career." And then while he's talking to Roman, have Rollins low blow Roman. It would have been so much better because all anybody was talking about was how weird that low blow was that Paul did.
It was. And I mean, I feel like it could have been booked differently.
It was fine. I didn't hate it. It was fine.
I think that it could have gone to a point where Roman swung the chair on Punk or on Rollins, and then Paul pushed him out of the way.
Yeah.
And then he hit Paul.
Right.
And then Paul would have fucking retaliated, low blowed him or something. But regardless, we seen Paul Heyman join Seth Rollins, and I think we called that last show. Perfect.
When we talk about fucking Monday, holy fuck.
Monday was good. It's the close of the show, Jesus fuck. But I felt night one was great. The only thing that I had a problem with was the goddamn crowd. They were not invested in any match except for.
I think the arena, like the size of the arena, and I don't want to make an excuse because I feel like they were pretty worn out with Raw.
Yeah.
Wait, Raw was in Vegas too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. SmackDown was the one that wasn't in Vegas.
Yeah.
I thought it was fine. They were reacting to what they wanted to react to. I felt like the size of that arena and the amount of fucking people were there, all that air is going up, so you're not hearing anything.
Yeah, we also had before the main event, we had Shawn Michaels come out and announce the attendance, which was cool. And we also saw real quick shout out Triple H gave the speech at the Hall of Fame that I was glued to every word that he said. And it was so fucking good. The emotion that he shared, and there was nothing that he held back on. He talked about China. He talked about Triple H. He talked about the Click. He talked about DX Evolution, right? He talked about all of it. And the fact of the matter is this man deserves more than he's been given. And people that shit on Triple H for his booking, y'all are pathetic. Yeah. But, I thought the show was really good. I enjoyed night one, and I have nothing bad to say about it. But, you can take over night two.
All right. So we had the women's match kicked it off, right?
Yep.
Wrestlemania Night 2?
Yep.
We had Rhea versus Bianca versus Io, and Jesus Christ. Io showed the fuck out, bro. We know how good Bianca is. We know how good Rhea Ripley is. But that crowd was so behind Io. I was so fucking happy for her because she deserved that fucking win. Yeah. I thought the finish was perfect. I thought the fact that she was given the opportunity to not only walk in as champion, but walk out as a champion. I think she's fantastic.
Hi, Mama Michelle.
But fucking 10 out of 10 match. The match was just absolutely phenomenal.
What I really loved about that match is we saw Bianca work heel, and you don't see that because Bianca's been a fucking face for the most part on the roster. And when it came down between her and Rhea, she was like, looked down at her and she was like, I worked too hard for you to come and mess this up for me, you bitch. And she was, and then when Rhea was on the top rope, or no, Rhea had stood up. Bianca used her hair, and that's not something that you see very often, even as a face.
Right.
So that was cool to see, but it was good. I'm happy that they played on Io wanting to be not be an afterthought, which is what they were doing in the whole show. And I know that we had a problem with that, right?
And it was the point of the story.
It was the point of the story. The whole point of the story. They made that shit known.
Yeah.
They made that shit.
Next up, we had the Sin City Street Fight, Damian Priest against Drew McIntyre. We had Slayer's Kerry King come out and do Damian Priest's fucking theme song, or not theme song, but his music. It was great until Damian pulled out the cape and looked like a total jackass. That entrance was fucking awesome.
Yeah, dude, the pit of fire right in front, and that shot of Damian
McIntyre's was pretty good too.
Yeah, dude, yes, I agree. But I think the shot that they did, where you seen the flames and then Priest coming out behind him, dude, what a shot! What a fucking shot!
So good, dude. This match over delivered for me. I was so surprised how much I love this match. Drew McIntyre decided to break the internet again with arguably one of the funniest fucking posts I've ever seen in my life. If you guys remember last year, he said, LOL, bored at work. He retweeted this year, bored at work again, with a peace sign with a lifeless Damian Priest.
This shit was fucking hilarious.
12 million views and almost 200,000 likes.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre has figured it the fuck out. Yeah. There is not one person on his level right now. Not one. No. And they reestablished him this past Friday night, and I'm really happy of what they're doing with the mid-card division when we get to that.
Real quick. Mama Michelle, you can watch it on Peacock. It's still up.
Yeah, it's still up. It's not. It doesn't go away. And Bleacher Report had posted the photo, so I'm going to show it here.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great.
Absolutely hysterical. Oh, it's at 400,000 likes.
Dude, I thought he was bullshitting when he pulled the picture out, or when he pulled the phone out and started texting.
Oh, right? No, he doesn't give a fuck.
I went on Twitter literally a minute after that shit was done, and it was up. And I was like, dude, this is masterclass right here.
Sorry.
You're good.
So now we had the Fatal 4-Way match for the Intercontinental title. When I tell you I jumped up and fucking screamed when this match ended, first of all, Penta having his WrestleMania debut. Bravo. I really wish this WrestleMania was at nighttime because a lot of these entrances would have looked a lot better.
Yeah.
Braun Breaker, shout out to that fucking man for just being as much of a badass as he is.
That Carlito spear was insane. Jesus.
He did it again. Wait.
That shoulder tackle. Who did he do it to? He did that flying shoulder tackle outside.
Probably the Dom. Probably
God damn. Dude, that thing looked nasty.
Everybody fucking killed it. We saw Finn Balor and and Dom go at it. Dom almost pinned that man. And didn't he pinned Finn for the title, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did the frog splash after Finn had done the coup de
Right. He
grace.
got speared, right?
Yeah.
Bro. Dominic fucking Mysterio has a win at WrestleMania.
Yeah, and then on top of that too, he got a fucking faces welcome, dude. When he won,
I know. I said it when he had that match against Gunther, bro. I said he's going to be a babyface, and people aren't going to expect it to happen because he walked into Monday Night Raw with the same reaction.
Yeah, insane.
Dominic Mysterio is fucking money.
What I loved is he was walking up the ramp after the celebration, and Finn was behind him, and then he turned around and ran back to the ring and celebrated some more. I was like, man, that man deserves it. He's put in some fucking work.
Dom is fucking fantastic.
Yeah, love Dom.
Then we had Randy Orton and a mystery opponent. Randy Orton didn't know who was going to come out. None of us knew. We speculated. We had thoughts. We thought it was going to be a current wrestler. Say his name, and he appeared. Joe fucking Hendry has made his WrestleMania debut. And god damn it, I have never laughed so hard in my life than when Randy Orton when he fucking RKO'd him after he did his fucking pose. I was in tears.
I was in tears there, but then afterwards when he did the Joe Hendry thing.
Before we get to that.
Okay.
He got the 1, 2, 3, and of course Randy Orton went over. Everybody thought that Joe Hendry was buried. Randy Orton decides to do the Joe Hendry pose with the fucking legend killer pose, dude. I was crying.
Well, and then he picked him up and he shook his hand and RKO'd him again, and I was like, there it is. Now we're gonna talk about the online shit about this fucking match. Dude, I stopped responding to people on this, right? Because like somebody on TikTok was like, "Oh, TNA's buried. Joe Hendry is buried," and I was like, "Dog, let's just put this as it is, right? Both parties had to come to the table to make the agreement. You have to understand that Joe Hendry, in no fucking capacity, is going to go over Randy Orton. Randy Orton is the guy is a fucking legend, right? Went from legend killer to legend. This man is arguably one of the biggest stars in all of professional wrestling right now. Easily, right? To have Joe Hendry, somebody who's not even in the fucking company, come in and beat Randy, that's not a good look. It's not good for business, right? It would shit on the current situation, right? And then he was like, "Oh, it was only a 3-minute match." That's all it needed to be. It needed to be a 3-minute match. Joe Hendry got his licks in. Randy Orton got his in. It wasn't a bloodbath. It wasn't an overproduced match. It was 3 minutes long, in which both men, did a solid match. And it's kind of like a harken back to Undertaker and Cena, if you will. It's also a harken back to Seth and Cody, with the exception of that match was longer and really a really good match. But
this match was just for a mere point of introducing Joe Hendry. That's all the match was intended for.
Absolutely.
Like when I look at the grades that Bleacher Report gives this shit, I just roll my eyes. Like they gave this a C. Like, did you not hear the same crowd I did? We're not here. We're not watching wrestling for what these motherfuckers can do in the ring. We're watching for moments. I don't give a flying fuck how many moves were introduced into that fucking match. I really, really don't. And that's the problem with Bleacher Report and so many of these dumbasses, because they feel like their opinion is so validated and that they grade shit based on what's done in the ring. Give me a fucking break, bro.
Right.
Like,
right.
They
it's
said
about stories and
they
moments.
gave it a C, mostly for the surprise. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Right. And everybody's
they followed it up with this. The pop for Hendry reveal was otherworldly, as if beating him in a few minutes wasn't bad enough. Orton dropped the TNA champ with a second RKO.
Once again, both parties had to come to the table and understand that that's what was going to happen.
So I'm a little confused. Number one, TNA champion being on WrestleMania for the first time ever. Right? Okay. So let's put that in factor, number one. Number two, 14-time world champion. 14. 1-4, guys, just for you dumbasses that don't know how to fucking read. 14 fucking times.
Yeah.
We're going to have a TNA fucking world champion go over a 14-time world champion for the sake of, oh, well, he's a TNA world champion, so he should go over. You guys are fucking retards.
That would be like when Jordan Grace was the Knockouts champion, and if she showed up randomly to WrestleMania to fight Charlotte, it would make no sense for Jordan Grace to go over because Jordan Grace is not an established star in WWE. She's huge in TNA, but not in WWE, and that's how it has to be looked at. So yeah, absolutely. Continue.
I don't understand.
I have no idea. I have no idea what that meant.
But I just, reading these grades is just fucking annoying. I hate reading Bleacher Report for this reason.
I don't even look at the grades because
I try not to, and this is why I don't read off of their shit.
Yeah.
AJ Styles and Logan Paul. Look, listen, man. Let's call this match for what it was. I thought it was going to steal the show. I thought it was going to be a great match. It wasn't a bad match by any stretch of the imagination. Cross got his moment in Vegas. Call it for what it is. Yeah. It was just a moment. That's it. This led to one of the craziest kayfabe / real life promos I've ever heard in my entire life from Karrion Kross.
Yes.
Killer Kross came out and told whatever production person he was saying in the truck to go fuck themselves because he wasn't given a WrestleMania match in his hometown.
Yeah. Yeah. And that kind of extends out to the Bayley situation. So, But I thought, I have no idea. But anyways, I think, I think that the match served its purpose. It wasn't Logan or AJ's best match, but there was more to the match than just the match itself. There was a story, right?
We saw more of that story bleed out on TV following WrestleMania.
Absolutely. And so it was good. It was a decent match.
Here's the problem I had with the whole thing, right? Logan had a press conference after this match, after WrestleMania was over. Did not care for anything he did. Didn't care for any response he gave. Because, I understand he's in character and he's a real-life douchebag. I get it.
Yeah.
He was a little too extra on every response. Dog, listen. You put on great matches. I will never take that away from Logan Paul. Ever in my entire life. He is fucking fantastic at what he does. He helps bring in YouTube streamers. He helps the numbers in WWE, whether people want to fucking admit that or not.
Yeah.
What he doesn't do is perform on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah.
He does not contribute to that roster in a healthy manner. I get it. You have a schedule. You're a fucking YouTube creator. You're a content creator. I will never take away what you do in both worlds. But stop saying that you're a full-time wrestler because you're not.
You're not.
You're not.
No. I will say, though, that pulverizer is beautiful. Beautiful. I really like that finishing move. So we had the women's tag team championship match next, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
You're good.
But yeah, the match ended the way that it did. Okay. Let me go back to the grade rant, and then I'll stop talking about the rant. They gave this a C+. So this match was graded better than Randy Orton and Joe Hendry. Just for context of how fucking stupid Bleacher Report is. The Women's Tag Team Championship. Bayley's spot got taken away. We don't know what happened. We don't know what's going on. Nothing has been talked about. We don't know the facts, so I'm not going to pretend to be outraged over a situation. I have no idea what happened. Triple H kind of addressed it in the press conference. He said that Bayley is fine and that she's very professional. Now, we heard the Chris Van Fleet interview. And who knows how many days it was before WrestleMania or whatever. And things were said in that interview. I think Bayley is being given very bad advice from Mercedes.
Yeah.
I think she's letting a lot of what's going on to her head.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly think that I wouldn't be surprised to see Bayley leave.
No,
I really
don't.
would.
I agree.
Becky Lynch coming back for a simple moment at WrestleMania, getting the tag team titles, was not a fan. It made Liv Morgan look like a complete idiot. What it did.
Absolutely. And like what happened on Raw afterwards just even solidified that point of view. And I agree, man, and to further that, right, to be like that I gotcha moment, because Liv has said, like, in the past, I retired Becky Lynch.
Yep.
Right? I mean, like, okay, the storyline is there, but it just makes no sense now, like, because of Raw. It makes no sense. If they would have done it at WrestleMania, it would have made more sense.
Like, it makes sense for her getting revenge on Liv. Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Then what happened Monday and how that whole thing went out, I'm not completely mad at it, because I don't want to see when we get to that. I'll add on to that point when we get to that.
Yeah.
From a story standpoint, sure, Becky Lynch goes over Liv Morgan to get payback. Okay, whatever. I washed my hands with it. The match was fine. Wade Barrett put over Liv Morgan in the biggest possible way in that entire match. Then the Bayley being sidelined thing was talked about too. I think Becky attacked her. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think the dirt sheets ruin any ounce of storytelling when it comes to shit like this, because we're in this whole weird outrage culture. And Baron Corbin went on his high horse on fucking Busted Open, and fuck you for taking Bayley off of WrestleMania, bro. You're just trying to get a paycheck from AEW at this point. That's how I'm looking at Baron Corbin at the moment. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he doesn't show up in there. But the way he's critiquing WWE, it's starting to sound like that. But
I think my biggest issue with that match itself was that what was done on Raw could have been done at WrestleMania.
Sure.
Or it could have, or the titles could not have changed hands. You could have had Lyra get pinned at WrestleMania, and then you could have had her get pinned again on Raw, and that could have led to what it was, right? Because that denied
the Intercontinental Championship makes that sticky too, though.
Well, I mean, not really, right? Because
I'm saying her getting pinned at WrestleMania, though.
Yeah, very true. But that would have denied Becky her revenge.
Right.
And then on Raw, that would have solidified Becky's not getting her revenge. So then that could have set up for a feud.
You're right. But I understand the quick title change, because now Liv and Raquel can say they're a 4-time champion.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Next up, we had two of this generation's biggest baby faces for the main event. We had 16-time world champion John Cena versus the quarterback Cody Rhodes. Cody had a fucking awesome entrance.
Yeah.
I love that new helmet that he has. The Iron Man type pop on it was great.
Yeah.
Cena's entrance actually fucking made me laugh. The fact that he blacked out his Tron, I thought was fucking awesome. If this is going into a slow descent of him fucking up his theme music, bro, give me all of that.
Yeah.
We had a very weird pro Cena, anti Cody crowd.
Yeah.
I think that we're at a point, and when we get to that promo of John Cena, the one that he showed up this past week, we'll talk about that. But I think Cena just not really knowing how to channel that heel character fully, and maybe Vegas just wanted that title off of Cody. I don't know what the case is. I think they were just in a really hard situation where people love Cody. People reacted to Cody.
Yeah.
But we saw how bipolar that crowd was towards Cody when he completely grabbed that crowd back. So this match, again, it served its purpose. John Cena, before this match even happened, he doesn't have to wrestle. Check. He's going to ruin wrestling. Check. You get nothing. Double check. John Cena is your 17-time world champion. He broke Ric Flair's streak. He's taking the title. Fuck all of you. Only problem with this match. The only problem. Travis Scott took forever to get to the ring. That is literally it. That is the only problem in that match.
His song should have played. Cody should have looked at the ramp, and he should have been behind him. That was it. Right? I thought that was that. I had a problem when I initially watched it because I was like, this match is boring. Right? But then I thought about it, and I was like, I thought about it, and I was like, he's destroying wrestling. That's what he said. He said he's destroying professional wrestling. Okay, so how do you destroy professional wrestling? You don't wrestle.
Fuck up the biggest show of Showcase of Immortals.
Yeah. You hijack the show. You fucking literally. But then I was like, this, and I was trying to remember what it reminded me of, and I was like, because this is like very much reminiscent of something. And then I started thinking back, and it reminded me of when Cactus Jack Mick Foley went to ECW, and he said, I am no longer a hardcore legend. And he literally was doing fucking chin locks, and people hated it.
Dewey.
Yes.
Kane Dewey.
Yeah.
You 6 other bitches.
You 6 other bitches. Yeah. That's what it reminded me of. And so like I can't hate it. Right. And I loved the celebration afterwards. Cena didn't look happy to have the championship. He was like, I told you this was gonna happen. And it happened. Right. And so after thinking about it, man, like it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, and you know what? The biggest thing about this match is it's one of those finishes you have to digest.
Yeah.
Regardless if you loved it or hated it. And a lot of people hated it. Regardless of what anybody thought. You have to digest before you have an opinion on anything. Because there are so many times in wrestling where we don't understand why things are done the way that they are.
Yeah.
Now you look on the other side of the coin where the Death Riders are going over everybody and nothing fucking makes sense.
Right.
That's different. There's no story there.
No. I think my only problem with this match is that Elimination Chamber, Rock came out and said, I want your soul. Cody didn't give it to him. Rock participated.
Cena never said he gave him his soul either, though.
No. Well, here's the thing: is that wasn't made clear, right? But we didn't see The Rock, right, and to me, that's an empty storyline, right? Like unless they're going to execute further. But then there's dirt sheets are coming out and saying that ticket sales were low, so they had to do a last minute change to the booking and have The Rock show up and do this whole angle of the soul thing. Maybe this could be where Cody takes some time off, comes back, and then accepts Rock's offer. And then it turns Cody heel. We get to the Cody, but I don't think that would happen. It would be a double turn. I would like that. Honestly, I would like that. A double turn, right?
Is
like you
Cody
see
Rhodes
it.
Going heel a good idea? I don't think it is.
Oh, absolutely.
I
His
only
heel
say that because of reaction.
I mean, they'd like. I mean, depending, he'd be a super heel. This
is how I look at Cody Rhodes going heel, right? What if in the middle of the yes movement that Daniel Bryan had building up to WrestleMania decides to flip the script and goes heel?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I agree with that and understand that. My thing is if let's say Cody, they do like a best of 3 series, not even a best of 3 series, right? Cody wins, or no, not Cody, but Cena wins the first two matches, right? And Cody's like, I want one last shot. If I don't take this, I will never challenge for the championship again. If I don't win this match, I will not challenge for the championship again.
Replicate the WWE or replicate the AEW storyline though?
Well, no. Here's the thing. Here's the fucking thing, though. Right? Is like we replicate storylines, right? Like none of these storylines are anything new,
right?
With the exception of Cena turning heel, Nothing is new. Everything is recycled and reused and reinvented, right? So you could literally have right before Cena retires, right? Let's say it's the last pay-per-view before Cena retires. Cody and Cena, like Cena's getting the upper hand, and then The Rock comes out and he wants to join in on the fight, and then he turns on Cena, and there is no payoff because there doesn't need to be any payoff. It'll be a double turn. Cena goes back to being a face to end his career, and then Cody takes over as the heel champion. And this is perfect, right? Because we've seen Cody as this massive babyface, so fucking over that like you just couldn't imagine, right? But what happens when the incorruptible becomes corruptible? We've seen it with Cena, right? So Rock could be that ultimate evil that fucking turns. And we don't like The Rock. Some people don't like The Rock. Keep him off our fucking TV, whatever. But if The Rock makes appearances and then makes small little changes here and there, I'm okay with it if it adds to the storyline. And then you could take Cody from being just this like massive babyface to this massive heel and have him be Homelander, complete Homelander, wreck people left and right, right? And he wouldn't have to hold the championship long, but that would give him an opportunity to actually work a great heel character that is not Stardust.
I think the only problem I have with Cody going heel is this being Cena's last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think makes that even tougher because we're going into May. Now we're almost halfway through the year, right?
Yeah.
So do you have him go heel and beat a babyface Cody? I don't think so.
Well,
that's just my opinion. I mean, it could work, it couldn't, but I think right now how Cody was screwed over, quote unquote, on purpose at WrestleMania, I don't think him coming back and going heel would be.
I don't think it. I wouldn't do it right away.
Yeah,
I wouldn't turn him right away. I'd wait till that last match to turn him, because at that point it's like do or die. Your undisputed championship is going to be gone from history, and we'll talk about that on Raw. It's going to be gone from history, right? So you have to save that.
And fucking bravo on how Cena came onto Raw, because holy fuck, dude.
Well, so after this, right, like the morning of, the day after WrestleMania, we got John Cena on the McAfee show, and I watched that, and it was great, right? Because Cena explained himself, but he didn't go too far in depth, right? He didn't let people peek behind the curtain.
I love that he's like, it's like you want me to spoil a movie for you. He's like, tune in tonight on Raw.
Yeah, and it was great. It was great, and like he still rode on that line of heel and face a little bit, where he was answering questions from Pat McAfee's crew, right? But he wasn't giving people the answers.
Yep.
And he was still shitting on the fans, and I loved it, right? And then you've seen a little bit of that Dr. Thugonomics come out in like some of his verbiage. So who knows? But yeah.
And then we had fucking that dumbass Dwayne get on the Pat McAfee show and just fuck everything up.
I didn't even watch it because
I think he's playing a character when he's doing those interviews. I don't think any of it's genuine, because like if everything he's saying is legitimate, he just completely shit on everything that's happening right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, why insert yourself in as any kind of fucking part of the storyline if you're not gonna not show up at WrestleMania because you wanted to give Cena his moment? You stole the headline anyway.
Yeah,
you weren't there. So it made things even worse for Cena.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
so
overall, I thought WrestleMania Night 2 was a fucking blast. I'm happy my boy is a 17-time champion.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know who she is. She's an artist on social media. Her name is Naomi. She does a lot of paintings for wrestlers.
Wasn't that MJF's ex-fiance or something?
That one. Yeah.
Okay.
I bought one of her prints. The John Cena standing on Cody's neck.
Nice.
I bought one of those prints, so I can't wait to show that off when it comes in.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, you're gonna have to send me her stuff, because I wanna buy some stuff for the house.
I got you.
But at any rate, Raw, dude. Raw was fucking wild.
Yeah.
I feel like we've returned back to the era of really good Raw after WrestleMania. So Cena opened up the show, and he came in. The ring announcer announced him as 17-time world heavyweight or 17-time heavyweight champion. Cena gave the ring announcer a fucking note. Was like, "You're gonna read this. You disrespected me. You're gonna read this." And so they announced him as the GOAT. The crowd booed. He got that heel heat, and then Cena, pandered to the crowd, and then they said, "We're sorry." They chanted, "We are sorry," and then they changed to asshole. It was a real solid promo, dude. And then after, like Cena said, "There's nobody in the back that can beat me because I'm on a whole nother level now." And then the crowd started cheering. Randy Orton popped up. We had talked about it on the show of Randy Orton being one of his opponents, but I didn't think it was going to be his first opponent. After
it makes sense for St. Louis.
It really does. It really does. So I'm happy that they're pulling trigger on that. RKO grabbed the championship, held it up. Solid fucking moment. Cena did not mention Travis Scott whatsoever. So it was great, and I loved. Dude, just this whole fucking promo. He literally said, "I'm here to destroy professional wrestling, and the lineage of this championship goes away when I'm gone." And then he put a counter on this on the Titan.
I was going to say that, dog. The counter was genius.
He put a count because when I was looking, I was like, 36 matches, and he said, "No, not 36 matches, 36 appearances," which means we don't know how many fucking matches this man is actually going to wrestle. So he is systematically destroying professional wrestling.
He is at 25 right now.
He's at 25 right now. And he said, "You guys are losing time." And then he said, "Take a picture of this because it's going to last longer than me being here." The opening match, we saw Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch defending the championships against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. And we seen Lyra Valkyria eat the pin. Really good match between both teams, man. Like, I had no qualms with this whatsoever. But after the match, we saw Becky Lynch come in the ring and pick up Lyra, and the turn just
it was a little too predictable.
It was predictable, but B, Lyra did not sell that shit whatsoever. She got hit, and then she laid down and kind of looked shook, and then Becky started stomping her, and she's looking shook. And then she got the manhandle slam, and she sat up against the ropes. And it's like you were eating things from somebody who just turned on you, and you're not trying to fight, right? You're literally just allowing this woman to kick your ass. And then Becky comes back out and beats the shit out of her some more. And then Lyra no-sells it, right? And so for me, that was like she needs to work on selling a little bit more. She's great at selling.
My focus was more so on Becky than it was on Lyra, to be truthful, because I think Becky has been in a state of mind, I feel like, the last couple of times that she has appeared of not really knowing who or what the character is.
Yeah,
I'm not going to put it so much on Lyra as much as I'll put it on Becky, because Becky is she's the lead out there. She's the veteran. And I feel if the selling was a problem, Becky should have said something. You know what I mean? Like, because everything is talked about before it happens.
Yeah. One thing that I forgot on night one of WrestleMania is we have new tag team champions, heavyweight tag team champions, and the New Day. They beat the Viking Raiders. Forgettable match. Very forgettable match. And that's sad. The Viking, the War Raiders, I felt like they sold their soul to the goddamn game, to a game. And it was dumb. Right? Seeing them come out and the fucking video game gear was like, they're not even gamers. So this shit don't make sense. Kofi and Woods are. Are they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm wrong.
He was on whatchamacallit? He was on Up, Up, Down, Down quite a bit. But I think with that match, I think the main focus was the neck injuries, right? And seeing how it was how the match finished.
Yeah.
I love the promo after on the post show that New Day did. I thought the whole conversation of who has the most titles in the world, and that's now the New Day.
Yeah.
I think the pieces that they're plugging throughout this story make it a lot better than what their matches are going to be. And again, I think this might be by design.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we know how talented both men are, especially Woods.
Yeah.
So I don't think matches are put as much effort into what's going on in the ring as much as you're going to see fucking Motor City versus the War Raiders. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. So we saw Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, the New Day, come out, and they were just talking shit about how they won.
Thank God for the New Day.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we got Akira Tozawa, Maxine, and Otis come out. And that was surprising.
Bro, hold on. Maxine's fucking promo was so good.
Yes.
My jaw was on the ground listening to her talk. Because I'm like, who the fuck is putting her in promo class? Because god damn.
That was a more aggressive Maxine than we've ever seen.
It was really good. I was very impressed.
Absolutely. So they got to the ring, and then we saw the lights go out, right? They were going to challenge for the tag team championships. And Chris, I know that you said multiple times you were not excited about this, but we got the lights go out, and we got the return of Rusev, right? And he looked great. He doesn't have the long hair. He has a shaved head. He came out and fucking looked jacked as shit, came out to the ring. The New Day bailed, and Rusev destroyed the Alpha Academy. Really good. I enjoyed it. I think from my understanding, they're bringing Lana back as well. She's got a legend contract. I just want to see Rusev put good matches on, because Rusev is definitely capable of good matches. I want him in good storylines, and I would like to see him show his fucking potential, and hopefully he doesn't get...
There you go. That is what I was going to say. Triple H proved me wrong on Bronson Reed. I shit on that man every fucking day that he was back before he proved me wrong.
Yeah.
Rusev can do the same thing. The problem I have with Rusev was the problem I had with him in AEW. Forget anything that he said about WWE, because that's where my frustrations stem from. Mm-hmm. He cannot grow as a character. He has shown that from the day he got released from the League of Nations to the fucking Redeemer, and before that it was the video game bullshit, he cannot evolve as a character. I don't think he did a good job doing any of that shit until the end of the Redeemer run, when he started doing the God stuff, when he started introducing promos into his work. If he can't cut a promo next Monday, I've lost hope. Honest to God. And Rusev has potential. I will never take away ring work from any guy or girl who is good in the ring. Mm-hmm. I need to see character. Just because you go in and squash literal two nobodies, all due respect to Akira and Otis, doesn't mean shit to me. You might as well get local schmucks and do the same thing. That's what that segment did to me.
I would love to see him go out and be his mouthpiece. And if they are going to bring Lana back to work with him, let her just be a manager. She doesn't need to be a mouthpiece. The man can cut a fucking promo. Let him cut a promo. Let him do the work. And also what I want to see is, he has the accolade, right? And he's using the accolade, and that's perfect. But he had a variation of the accolade in the AEW that I think would be so much better. But don't pull it out every match. And it's where he does the accolade, but he leans all the way back, and he fucking pretty much folds the people in half. And I want to see that. In big matches, I want to see that move fucking come out, because that was beautiful. He did it to Sammy Guevara. He did it to fucking everybody when he was the TNT champion, right? Let that shit come out. Let him use that. Let him use his strengths that he had in AEW. And some people, Chris, you may not believe this, but like, he had strengths in AEW, right? The dude was a fucking powerhouse. He was unstoppable until he got injured. And then when he got healthy, they just didn't use him. Let him use his strengths to this. But that was what it was. Next, we saw Io Sky come out, and Io Sky cut a hell of a promo saying, there's no longer any dispute. I am the fucking champion. I am no longer a second thought, And then we saw Stephanie Vakir come out. Dog, that wasn't on my bingo cards. That wasn't on my bingo card.
Fucking brilliant.
Yeah. And Stephanie McKeer said, I'm here to fight the best, and I want to fight you. And they had a great match. God damn, what a great match. And both of the women put all their shit online, and then we seen some interference between from Roxanne Perez attacking
them all perfectly.
Yeah, attack Stephanie McKeer. Then Julia showed up. I didn't know Julia was working heel.
Yeah, she's heel. Yep.
Okay, so she came out looking like $1 million, selling her shit. Rhea Ripley came out, backed down Julia. There was a nice stare off between Julia and Rhea Ripley. So we don't know what that's going to look like in the future. Maybe Rhea's trying to give respect to Io and say, hey, I fucked up. You're a legitimate champion. Overall, man, like that match was great. So next we had the celebration of Jey Uso being champion. Jey came out and he showed a little bit more spirit this time, and he was yeeting with the crowd. Sammy came out. He made his return. I thought Sammy was going to turn. Dog, there was that spot where Jey was on the top rope and he had the fucking championship up, and you seen Sammy in the background just looking. And I expected it, and it didn't happen. Jimmy came out.
Slow burn that shit, dog.
Slow burning. So we don't know. Maybe Sammy's going to be his first opponent to solidify him.
I'm just going to say this, dude, and I've been saying it since fucking last year. I don't want to see Sammy hold a main event title. I just don't.
Mm-hmm.
I have absolutely no fucking interest.
Yeah. So, next we had Dom versus Penta for the United States Championship. Really good match between the two.
I was really scared they were gonna fucking give that title to Penta.
Yeah, but Dom pinned Penta for his first singles loss.
But interference, right? I think there was interference.
There was interference. Finn interfered, and so did all Judgment Day was ringside. Well, all the men were. Interference. Okay, so we saw the return of JD McDonough. JD pushed Penta.
Yes, I forgot about that. And he didn't look too happy.
No. So he, after the win,
Finn didn't look too happy.
No. So after the win, we saw JD come in the ring and hug Dom, and everybody came in the ring except for Finn. But Finn was like and once again, a slow burn turn. I feel like it's going to happen, but we just got to give that a chance. Also, we had a backstage segment that we were talking about from WrestleMania where AJ was talking about his loss to Logan Paul, and Cross came in. It was like pretty much was like, you fucked up the plan. like there was a plan, but he said you fucked up the plan. And AJ's like,
you know what? People want to sit here and say that Cross was shooting.
No.
Triple H told that man to fucking say what's on his mind.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna sit there and tell me that Cross just went off the cuff and said that shit? Come on.
And then showed up on Raw.
What are we doing here, bro?
Right. If he went off on the cuff, shot on everybody, and like it was a legitimate shoot, and then showed up on Raw, come on.
Yeah.
He would have been suspended or some shit. But anyways, Cross was like, you had this win in the palm of your hand and you fucked the plan up. Right? And then AJ was like, you want me to go back to being that man that I was last year? I hated that man, and you saw it in Cross's eyes. Cross was like, that's the point. You let a YouTuber come in and beat you. And now you just solidified him. You validated him as being legitimate. You legitimized that man. And so, dude, I feel like it's this feud between AJ and Cross is not over. It's just beginning.
No. I don't think there's going to be any Cross AJ stuff. I think Cross is a gun for Logan.
Ooh. Okay.
That's how so I don't know if you remember that part of the segment where he's like, if you want to take care of Logan, then you do it. He's like, maybe I will.
Yeah, you're right.
Cross and Logan, if they let Cross actually fucking work, Cross and Logan could be a lot of fun.
Okay, yes. Speaking of Cross, but I'm going to bring another name in. Speaking of Cross, he fought at Bloodsport over the weekend.
Yep.
For GCW.
Uh-huh.
Great fucking match. right? Great back and forth match. But even more, Natty went
Natty
in.
was fucking incredible. I have been saying that shit forever.
Yeah. Natty went in and destroyed the woman that she was working with. And then she put her in the fucking sharpshooter. Old girl tapped out. She didn't let it go. And then afterwards, she posted a picture of her and her team with a jacket, because I want to say it said the Canadian Legend or something like that, and or low key legend or something like that, and it was tagged at the bottom. It said fucking doubt me now. And I was like, dog, yes.
Bro, I've been telling you guys. That's why, this is exactly why I do not shit on Natalya, dog. I know how good she is. And everybody who has, over the last 5 years, shit on Natalya, she has always had that dog in her. Like I said before, man, every female that is in that fucking ring, from NXT to Raw to SmackDown, is in the ring because of Natalya.
Yeah.
Fab is a better wrestler because of Natalya.
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley, again, Natalya.
Yeah. She produces champions, and
that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, her and TJ are fucking flawless.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The final segment we saw on Raw featured Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman, and they came out.
And he wasn't dancing, and he wasn't laughing.
No. He came out serious as fuck, right? And like he it feels like he's like shedding the skin of the flamboyant Seth, and he's starting to become a fucking mercenary. Yeah, dude, I feel like it like this transition that he's in right now is when Triple H went from DX Triple H to the Cerebral Assassin, right?
Even better, evolution.
Yeah. And look, I'm going to say this, and I know that this might be unpopular. I think Seth needs to change his song, and I think he needs to change.
I agree.
I think he needs to change his song to "Sail to the Black."
The only problem with "Sail to the Black" is it doesn't pick up until the end of the song.
No, you could cut the song. You could chop the song. You could literally start it where it starts. So it's like, and then right, and you could pick it up, because on top of that too, it's a nod to his old character in Ring of Honor, Tyler Black.
You know what version of his song I liked a lot was when he was doing the Rebuild Reclaim.
Yeah,
I love that version of his song.
I liked it, and then I liked when Downstate added lyrics to it.
Yes,
but they never put it out. They never released it in WWE. It's literally
fucking have Downstate do his theme song.
Oh yeah. Do it grimy, man. Like, it doesn't have to be what it was. Let it shit be grimy. But anyways, Rollins couldn't say much, and Punk came out. Punk was wrapping his fucking hand up, right? Like, he's ready for a fight. And he gets in there, and Punk and Rollins are going at it. Punk gets Rollins down in the corner, and he turns his focus to Paul Heyman. And he goes after Paul, and he goes to grab him, and Seth fucking takes him out and stomps him.
What does that remind you of?
Can't remember.
When Brock Lesnar was feuding with Punk. Remember, Punk's only focus was Paul. Yeah,
absolutely. And so Seth took out Punk, and Paul Heyman said that Rollins is now the top star in the industry. Roman came out, and him and Roman started going at it, and Roman hit a spear on Rollins, and then went to take out Paul, and we saw
boom.
Dog, I didn't have this on my bingo cards either, and I didn't see it coming.
So you and I, before you reveal who it was, before we reveal, there were seeds planted in 2023.
Yep.
Said person was backstage with Paul Heyman talking.
Yep.
Those seeds were always there.
Well,
Paul was always going to be a Paul Heyman guy.
Well, yeah. I mean, there was even, and I didn't even notice this, and I wasn't paying attention, but Paul Heyman cut a promo that said, "Your tribal chief has granted me the opportunity to make this man a Paul Heyman guy. So Roman set up his own demise. So as Roman is getting geared up and he's charging toward Paul, we saw a fucking spear out of nowhere, dog. And it was Braun Breaker, dude. And
Braun fucking Breaker, dog.
This is a match that that all of us have been begging for, that salivating for, right? Braun Breaker versus Roman. And I think that
he killed Roman.
He killed Roman. And Roman was put up against the barricade, and Braun got out the other side and ran and speared him through the goddamn thing. And so now we have another Paul Heyman guy, two Paul Heyman guys in one weekend, in Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. And this begs the question: do you feel, and I'm saying this like in full curiosity, do you feel they're reforming Evolution 2.0?
Absolutely.
Who do you think the third member is going to be? I have an idea.
Jeff Cobbs?
I don't think so.
That's one name that has been thrown around a lot. I don't know. It's tough to say because, like, those two, Seth obviously being at the top of the company for years among years, Braun Breaker being the future of this company.
You need a spot to... You need a spot to fill that Randy Orton spot, and I got someone. I got a name.
Who?
Austin Theory. WWE. No, hear me out.
So, hold on. Before you give your theory on that, no pun intended. My problem with Theory is he is in a heel stable right, heel tag team right now, right? The only person who stands out in that stable is Grayson Waller. They haven't done shit, literally haven't done shit since WrestleMania last year of anything noteworthy.
Yeah.
Theory has all the potential in the world.
Yeah.
The problem with Austin Theory was Vince McMahon. Vince fucked Austin Theory completely up. He had the potential of being the next Randy Orton, essentially. Yeah. But you're going to have to convince me to be sold on the name Austin Theory, to be in the same conversation as somebody like Braun Breaker or Seth Rollins.
And here, this is what I feel.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't been, A-Town Down Under hasn't been seen on TV for a long time. And I would venture to say a couple weeks to 2 months or so. Mm-hmm. This could be the way to silently break them up, right? And if I'm not wrong, Randy was in a tag team too. When they brought him in, I could be wrong, but I think that he was in a tag team, and then they silently broke that tag team off. Maybe it was Bob Holly, I can't remember, or I don't remember. But anyways, you could silently break that off, and like they'd be like, "Oh, it doesn't make sense, right?" And it doesn't, right? But I think right now we're in the phase of burning it down and building it back up, right? So Braun Breaker lost his Intercontinental Championship. He hasn't made it known that he wants that Intercontinental Championship back. So he joins the stable, right? Braun is a fucking animal. Batista was an animal. So Braun is filling that Batista role. Seth is filling that Triple H role. You need somebody to fill that Randy Orton role. And what better way? Austin Theory is still young, super young. I don't even know if he's in his 30s. He may be. But go ahead.
Quick. This is how Randy Orton joined Evolution. So he was sidelined with an injury, returned in May 2003, interfering in a match between Kevin Nash and Shawn Michaels against Triple H, and then unmasked and officially rejoined the group.
Absolutely. So you could have him join that stable as quote unquote Evolution. Don't know if that would be what they called him, but you could have him join the stable at Payback, right? And in St. Louis, and you could do it where Roman or Punk is getting the upper hand, and then you got a masked character or you got a hooded character. It seems like they're going with the hoods now. You could have him rush into the ring. Ref is knocked down. I fucking hate the ref knockdown spot, but this is the only way that it would work. and then have him brutally attack one of them. Like, and I'm not talking about just punch. I'm talking about like beat the absolute dog shit out of him. That is the only way that this will work, is if he absolutely dominates whoever he's attacking.
See, so like the breaking up the Austin Theory and Grayson Waller thing is like Austin goes from a heel tag team to a heel stable, and you make Grayson Waller a babyface. I don't know.
Well, Randy went from being a heel because he was a heel at the beginning of his career, and even then, like when he was doing the updates, like during that time, he would do the update. He'd be like, "Oh, my arm is at 90%, but not fucking quite there, right? It's at 100%, but I still feel bad, right?" And that's what they were running with. So he was working heel, and in that time, and then he came back and then ran it, right? So like it could be one of those things where they do the draft, right? And clearly they fucking cut Grayson Waller out.
I would accept the draft idea. I think the draft idea is better than splitting them.
Yeah, I mean they could split them up in the draft, and
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, which I think is beneficial because Grayson Waller is so good, and I don't feel like he should be stuck in a tag team anymore. That isn't doing anything for him. And Austin Theory needs something to revitalize.
Grayson's in a really weird spot where there's so much fucking talent on that roster. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the best idea for him is anymore. Because when he got called up, I'm like, oh damn, this guy's gonna be fucking great. Yeah. Then we started signing this massive abundance of fucking talent, and you got a guy like Jacob Fatu, who's already a better promo than 95% of the fucking roster.
Yeah. Dude, you can't like what do you do with Grayson Waller at that point? Because you can't have him. I mean, dude, if you feed him to Jacob Fatu, you're killing.
Bro, they fed him to fucking Braun Breaker in NXT.
Yeah. They fed him to Braun Strowman, right? Like at that point, like what are you going to do with him? Are you going to send him back to NXT so that he can develop some more and he can be a bigger star? I feel like that would be beneficial to him, right? Have Obafemi lose the championship, get called up, and then a switch happens. I don't like it, but
I don't know. It's really tricky, man. Like there's a lot of pieces that you can move around, but it's going to disrupt other pieces. Like Oba is a tricky one because like he's another guy who I think is massively fucking talented, and when he gets called up, whatever brand he joins, it's going to be interesting to see how those pieces shift around.
Absolutely. So that was the show. I thought that the show was great, and it's it looks like we're going back to good Raws after WrestleMania, SmackDown after WrestleMania, because SmackDown was awesome too. So, Chris, you want to take NXT?
Yeah, so I'll run down NXT pretty quick because I know we're at 2 hours. So we started off with Liv Morgan and Raquel versus Gigi and Tatum. Great fucking match. Again, Liv Morgan proves to be one of the best talents on that roster. Shout out to fucking Gigi and Tatum, man. I think those are two women you can visibly see are trying to do better and improving every time they're in that ring. Not only do they have a TNA women's tag team match here soon, but I think Gigi and Tatum are a really good pairing together. Liv Morgan and Raquel retain. And we had a backstage segment. Penn and Teller tells Lexis King that they're going to give the Heritage Cup back, but he's got to defend his trophy later on that night, and we'll find out.
Yo, that Penn and Teller spot on fucking on goddamn on Stand and Deliver was great.
It was pretty funny.
When Teller came out wearing the Yeet shirt, I was like, oh my god, wrong show.
Then we had some backstage, or we had some footage from Miles Bourne and Tavion competing at Bloodsport. And then Dark State says that Ren Sinclair couldn't handle Bloodsport, and Cutler suggests that the NQCC disbands before Dark State kills him, just like the family. Bourne doesn't back down, and he challenges them to a tag team match with Javon Evans joining his side. Then we had a nice little backstage segment between Ricky Saints and Lexis King, and basically said that he's going to retain his trophy, and he's also going to challenge Ricky Saints for his North American title. Winner takes all, which we'll go to find out what happens later on that night. Hank and Tank had a nice little backstage segment with Sol Ruca and Zarya. You see Zarya visibly watching the North American Women's Championship. So you know she wants a piece of that title. Thea Hale comes backstage. Then Kalani, then Jacy Jane. And basically that Fallon says that she's going to take care of who was it? I forgot who she challenged. I'll get to that when we get to it. Then we have Lexis King versus a mystery opponent. And finally, Noam Dar returns back to action after a year of being out. I'm a really big Noam Dar fan. I'm so happy that he is back. He won his Heritage Cup championship back. So I'm hoping that means Lexis King is, no pun intended, leveling up and is going to be in a new division for a new title. Noam Dar with the Heritage Cup championship just feels right. So
it makes sense.
Congratulations to him. What?
Yeah. And it makes sense for Noam Dar to be the Heritage Cup champion.
Yeah. Then we had Sarah Schreiber doing a backstage interview with Roxanne saying that Stephanie's not going to claim a division that she built. And it felt good that she ruined the moment between Julia and Stephanie and Io. And she talks about being the NXT Superstar of the Year. Jacy Jane is going to be competing against Rosemary this past Thursday on Impact. And then we had the matchup between Fallon Henley and Thea Hale. It was a pretty quick match. Thea Hale beat Fallon with a submission match. Or a submission move, sorry. So it looks like maybe Fallon might be on the call-up soon. Maybe her and JC are getting the call-up. I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, dude, Thea Hale, like, her presentation is more aggressive, and I like it.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
Then we had Oba Femi and Trick Williams cut a promo talking about how Trick deserves another opportunity. And Joe Hendry comes out and completely upstages Trick Williams. Again, I know this is by design. Trick Williams had like one of the corniest comebacks I've ever heard in my life. It didn't do anything for me for Trick Williams' character. I think Trick needs to be called up or just removed from the main event division because I just don't think he's doing very well. Then Oba said, don't make the same mistake that Moose did to Joe Hendry. So it looks like we're going to have a Joe Hendry and Oba program here shortly. Trick basically says that he's getting treated like a punching bag and throws him out of the ring. Then we had a Luca confronting Stax in the desert, and Luca disappears. He gets buried in a hole in the desert, as movie Casino had described to us being a thing.
Well, Stax, on top of that, Stax said, we're in the desert. Why do you think that is?
So good. I actually watched Casino last night.
Nice.
We had another backstage segment with Sol Ruca and Zarya, and then Liv Morgan pokes fun at Zarya having nothing. So it looks like they're going to have Sol Ruca and Zarya versus Liv and Raquel at some point. Jesus Christ. I don't know how they're going to hold down Zarya's energy. She's incredible.
Yeah.
Trick Williams is shown backstage crashing out. He gets kicked out of the arena by Ava. And you just see him flipping out backstage and breaks the camera. NXT Anonymous caught him on camera just throwing around shit, talking shit to production crew and everything. And, he got thrown out. So we'll see what happens. Next up, we had Javon Evans and Miles Bourne against Dark State. Another solid Dark State little fucking debut there. Dark State ended up winning. They got the powerbomb victory. Griffin, I believe, is the one who got the pin. I think everybody who is in Dark State is pretty special in their own right. I think Cutler's still trying to figure it out. Osiris and fucking Sugars, I think, are the standouts in that whole stable. The other big guy Osiris is the other big guy I'm talking about. Dion's pretty solid. I think Dion brings a lot to the table. Sugars and fucking Osiris stand out so hard to me, though.
Dude, and that power bomb that they do, beautiful. The tossing power bomb, gorgeous.
And then we had Inamura saying to Ava that he feels bad for letting Josh Briggs down and that he's on his way back to Japan, and basically says that he wishes he could have won the tag team titles for Briggs. And Ava's like, you know what? I'll give you a going home present and, give you that tag team title match against Hank and Tank. Ava disappears. Briggs is like, what's going on, man? And he lifts his head up and he starts laughing. And he's like, I got us a tag team title match. It's like old Japanese trick. Inamura is fucking fantastic. I want to see that man hold gold at some point in NXT. He is too good to not have a title. Then we had the Tony D segment that I was talking about earlier. Tony D was built for cinema, bro. This was one of his best backstage cinematic promos he's done since the family has been formed. I've been saying for the longest time the family has run its course. So they killed off Luca. Stacks has separated. Now it's just Rizzo and Tony D. Rizzo sold this story so good. But Tony D fucking carried it into the promised land. And we got fucking cinema this week. So Tuesday, we're going to have a Stacks and Tony D confrontation. Not a match. So curious to see what happens there. It ends with the Don giving Rizzo a hug, and they cut to the next segment. Fucking well done.
Yeah.
Then we had a backstage segment with Sarah Schreiber and Ricky. He's glad that Noam Dar won, and Lexis King knocks the fuck out of Ricky Saints.
Oh shit!
And basically says that I'm still coming for that title, and it's gonna be Ricky Saints versus Lexis King this coming Tuesday. And Ethan's like, maybe I'll readdress our issues at another time after he stands over Ricky's lifeless body. So that was pretty great. Then we had another backstage segment. Andre Chase is bringing back the Chase U sweater. So it looks like Chase U is going to come back in some capacity. Not really sure how I feel about it yet, considering Duke Hudson is no longer with the company and Riley Osborne is on Evolve. We'll see where it goes. I have faith they're going to do something.
Yeah.
Then we had Stephanie Vaquer versus Roxanne Perez. Another absolutely fucking incredible match. Roxanne proves to be leaps and bounds better than most of the women on the entire company. Yeah. But Stephanie is just at another level, bro. She is way too good. Way too good. After Stephanie wins the match, we had where is it? After the match, Julia came out, appears on the stage. Jordan Grace is also standing in the crowd looking down at Stephanie, so it looks like we're going to get another program with Julia and Stephanie at some point. Overall, NXT was a pretty solid show. Vegas was burnt out from the WrestleMania weekend. You can feel it. You can hear it. Noam didn't get any kind of reaction, so I felt really bad for him. But great show, great viewership. Yeah.
Nice. So SmackDown, it was in where the fuck were they? They were in Texas somewhere.
Yeah, they're in Texas. Yeah,
Fort Worth. They were in Fort Worth, Texas. So first out, Cena. Cena comes out. Walks out to the ring. Before he can get a word out, Randy comes out. And Randy pretty much is like, I've been trying to figure out like what's going on with you. I've sat back and I've watched to try to figure out what's going on with you, and you have a void inside of you. And I think that you should be a father, right? Because like it'll give you a responsibility. Yo, that's the best thing Randy Orton said. And Cena retorted and said, "How dare you? Do you know why I haven't been a father? I haven't been a father because I've been raising these fans for the past quarter of a century, 25 years. And he was like, and judging by the response of the crowd, I think I've done an impeccable job. And then he like singles out this kid in the crowd, and
he's like, "Oh, a 6-year-old kid just gave me the finger. Wonderful.
How classy." And then and he was like, I could raise you better than your loser father, and like, dude, he just went in and he was like, "Don't you dare think you're gonna do anything about it." And like, so they went back and forth, and pretty much Cena said, "I'm keeping this championship when I go home, and it's going to destroy the legacy that your family built." And I was like, "Fuck," because it went from like professional to very personal real quick. And Randy was like, "After everything that you and I have been through, right?"
What's funny about that? What Randy said. What's really funny about that? This is the same man who ripped John Cena's father out of the crowd and smacked the fuck out of him.
Yes, exactly. And then so then on top of that too, Randy challenges Cena. He said, "Let's fight right now." The crowd's behind it, and we know what's going to happen. Like, no. He said, "Not saying it's not going to happen, but you deserve to have a match, and that match not here. That match deserves to be at Backlash." Like gaslighting Randy.
It makes sense. St. Louis. Randy Orton's from St. Louis.
Yeah, but he was gaslighting the shit out of him. He was like, "I want you to go home, and I want you to spend time with your family. I want you to be rested up because I want the best Randy Orton." Right? And he said, "Because when I beat you, your legacy is gonna die." And then he was like, "Randy, get a good look at this because this is the closest you're ever gonna get to the championship." And then he goes to hit Randy with the fucking championship, and then Randy counters into an RKO. Really good segment, dude.
What if they do this for Backlash, dog? Do you remember when Randy Orton put the title up against Cena and he smacked the referee and it fucking ended in DQ?
That's what I think it's going to happen. I really think
that, bro. I swear on my life, I will boldly on here say that John Cena is the greatest heel of all time because that is fucking hysterical.
I think that's what's going to happen, man. And I was thinking that. Because I thought back to that moment when Cena didn't get the championship because Randy got disqualified. It would be genius. Also, Joe Tessitore announced that the third hour is going to be commercial free because of the main event. Cena's line about Randy Orton being frozen at 14 because he's going to take the championship.
So good, bro. I fucking love it.
He was like, He's like, there's going to be another show. There's going to be another opponent, but they're going to make an aluminum foil championship for you. And if you are so, he was like, if you are so good that you end up getting that, your counter starts at 1. And everything, and it's like, what? Is that even logical?
Cena is so fucking good. It blows my mind that people were doubting this heel run.
Oh yeah.
I was fucking crying listening to everything he was saying. When he called that man's father or that kid's father a loser, I lost it. I was like, bro, I can't breathe.
Yeah, he just shit on him. But our first match, we saw Angel Umberto versus Nathan Frazier and Axiom. So Axiom got the call up. And so that loss on NXT, the loss of the NXT championships, paid off in their call up. And it
never slow down.
Dog, they tore the fucking house down. Both of those teams. So good. I had a friend here, I'm not going to say, but my friend was sitting there laughing because it was just like one body after the other, running out, diving. Like it was just a consistent rotation of people diving. But at any rate, next we had Tiffany Stratton come out, and she was celebrating her win, and she gave right. She was. She gave Charlotte her flowers, but she said, "Hey, it's my time now. Nobody's going to interrupt that." Jade came out.
Brilliant.
I will say
this, however. Jade needs to work on those promos a little bit. She was a little shaky. I was like, oh, man.
Yep. So, yeah, and that set up a match between the two, and it's kind of like on Monday where we saw Stephanie Bakir versus Io Sky. We saw Jade versus Tiffany Stratton. Really good match. The match ended with
there was, that cartwheel Alabama slam that Tiffany does, that reversal that Jade had into the power bomb. Dog.
I
was just like, Jade is one of those scary, explosive talents that is really good when she shines with the right people. And I think her and Tiffany is a match made in heaven.
Yeah, absolutely. And it shows how strong she really is.
Yes.
Right? To go from pretty much a deadlift position and lift her up. Boom, right? Yep. And that's a full body weight. That's not even bars. That's a full body weight of a human being that you are lifting up at a slow pace. Insane.
Jade passed that test with flying colors.
Absolutely. And so that was really good. We saw the match end with DQ because Jade got attacked by Naomi. I didn't like the attack because when she was punching, you could tell how she wasn't connecting, right? And just it didn't do anything.
Like I said, it goes back to what I said about Naomi. Like it's a fine gimmick. I think a lot of it's really corny. I think she's better on social media than she is in the ring.
Yeah. So then we seen Tiffany stand up and start to make her way out of the ring. Nia Jax attacked her, and so we got Nia Jax returning. I'm happy about it. She's back in the title picture. I'm happy about it. I don't know how you feel about it, Chris.
I'm on the fence with it because it's like, okay, how many times does Nia Jax need to be involved in the title picture? Mm-hmm. Then it's the other side of the coin where it's like, okay, Backlash was always meant for rematches. I just want it to deliver. I want them to sell me on why she's there. I don't want I want my title back promo. I want there to be some substance there.
Yeah,
and I don't think that. Here's the tricky part about Nia, man. Like, now that she's been given the big title, it's like, okay, we can go one of two directions: involve her in the title picture again, or put her in the mid card division.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Next, we saw Jacob Fatu and Solo come out to celebrate the United States Championship win. Solo had the mic, and he said nobody in WWE wanted Jacob Fatu except for me. I brought Jacob Fatu in. I made this championship happen. If it wasn't for me, Jacob wouldn't be in this position. And Jacob fucking looked at him. It was like staring him down. And then he turned around and grabbed the microphone and cut a killer fucking promo. Pretty much was like, no, you didn't do this. And it started that tension. Between the two of them. Well, it essentially what Jacob said was like, I told you I was going to win this championship with or without you, and I did it without him. So that, you're catapulting Jacob Fatu even higher, right? Like, at this point, he's a bigger star than Solo is, and he's been in the company 9 months. Crazy. LA Knight came out. LA Knight gave Jacob Fatu the credit for winning the championship. And then we saw Drew McIntyre come out. And it's cool to see Drew McIntyre step away from the programs that he's been working, right?
They're reestablishing the mid-card division.
They are huge. And so Drew came out and Drew said, look, I beat Damian Priest's ass, and Randy Orton jumped in line to fight John Cena. And so now I'm relegated to this, right? Like, I won a championship. I'm relegated to this. And so he was like, but if I'm coming after anybody, I want to come after the biggest dog in the yard, and that's Jacob Fatu. And so, later on the night, we would see LA Knight versus Drew McIntyre for the number one contendership. Yeah. So I mean, dude, from the moment that Jacob Fatu's music hit to the time they walked out of the ring, everybody loved Jacob, and rightfully so. That man deserves everything. Next we saw a champion
who interfered in that match. The match didn't end clean. Damian Priest came out.
Oh well, we haven't gotten to that yet.
Oh, okay.
So next we saw Chelsea Green versus Zelina Vega for the Women's United States Championship match. Uh, solid match. I didn't think that they were going to pull the plug or pull the
You know
trigger
they
on.
did it for a
Zelina.
reason. You know
They did it for a reason, and that reason's coming up.
Yeah.
But they pulled the trigger on Zelina Vega being the United States champion, and it was great. They highlighted. They said this is her very first championship in the whole company. You know, whether it was a tag team or a solo, this is her first one. And they didn't play the fucking package that they've been playing every single time. And I mean, we knew, right? We knew who it was.
I
The other
had
people-
doubts. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had doubts.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyways, the match was great. We saw the secret Hervis help Chelsea Green get the advantage. But once that they were kicked out of ringside, Chelsea was like, "What the fuck?" And then we saw Zelina Vega do Code Orange, pick up the win, or Code Red, pick up the win, and Zelina Vega is your new United States Women's Champion. Really good match. So next, we had The Miz come out. Well, The Miz was backstage with Carmelo Hayes and was like hyping up Carmelo, hyping him up, and said, "You hype."
Sorry. Almost fell.
So damn excited about this, Chris. Jesus. But anyways, we seen The Miz, pretty much hyping up Carmelo and said, "You're him. You're the future." He gave him an Andre piece, right? Like a Jesus chain, but an Andre chain, right? Like a Jesus piece, but an Andre piece. So
It was a little ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie. To
it was over the top. But I mean, wrestling's over the top.
Everything's over the top.
Yeah. So Miz comes out. Miz is like, "I'm sick of being considered, being left off of WrestleMania. I beat John Cena. I've had all these WrestleMania moments. I got left off of WrestleMania. I'm sick of being held back by all these people that are coming in." And it served its purpose. It really did. And then the lights go out. And then we hear, meow.
We got the OG fucking music.
No man is a better. Right? And I'm sorry, I can't scream. Anyways, we got the return of Aleister Black in his original gear. No House of
OG
Black.
song, OG presentation, OG gear. I love it.
Yes, perfect. I smiled the whole time. From the moment that the lights went out, I just started smiling because it was like I loved Aleister Black. I loved Malachi Black. I thought his presentation was great, but in AEW just didn't have the backing to support him. And we know Triple H's booking is going to keep him relevant. Hopefully. But anyways, Miz came out or Aleister Black came out, made his way to the ring. He had the spikes on his jacket and he fucking did the roll up and then did the sit in the ring. Look at the Miz, stood up. Miz came in and said, "Who do you think you are?" And he got the black mask. That's all. That's all he needed, and it was booked perfectly. And so yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm pretty sure that I think
That
next week
fucking crowd was dog shit though.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
That felt so bad. I'm like, come on, man. You guys aren't gonna fucking react to somebody like Aleister Black.
Yep. So next we're gonna see. We're gonna be. Well, it's pretty cool. And here's a little thing
before you go to the next segment.
Yeah.
Chelsea posted the goodbye for now, but she did it with this.
Yeah.
The American flag, so it's not. She's not leaving the company.
Okay, cool. So, anyways, something that everybody pointed out, well, that Bleacher Report pointed out that I didn't see was The Miz came out wearing all white, which was a juxtaposition to Aleister Black, his dark gear. Didn't even pick that up. So,
one more time. I'm sorry.
So Miz came out wearing a white suit. So like he was wearing all white. So it was like a juxtaposition where Aleister Black was wearing, wears all black. And so like it's kind of that play on light versus dark, I guess. But anyways, at any rate, it looks like we're going to be getting a Miz and Aleister Black match. I'm all for it. The Miz helps elevate, younger talent or talent coming back. Perfect. He helped elevate Carmelo Hayes more than Carmelo Hayes was already elevated, so that's great. Next, we had LA Knight versus Drew McIntyre, and to be honest, after Aleister Black came, I went to bed because I was super tired. But from what I'm seeing, it looks like it was a decent back and forth, and then we saw Damian Priest come out and call and have multiple DQ in that. So it looks like that match was no contest. And then we also got a backstage segment with Bianca Belair saying that she's injured and she's going to be out of action for a while. And it's really sad. Drew McIntyre got a picture-in-picture entrance. The disrespect is real.
For who?
Disrespect for Drew McIntyre.
He already had an entrance earlier that night.
Yeah, very true. One other thing before we get to the main event. During the Hall of Fame ceremony, Undertaker was talking about Michelle McCool, obviously. And he said she came in the company without a name. And they flashed the camera to Natalya. They did her fucking dirty. They did her dirty. And I hope she sees it. I hope she's seen it. And I hope that that is brought up at some point, right? And she could even go in to say, yeah, I have a name that's fucking prestigious in this company. In this sport.
So you think that Taker was throwing shade?
I mean, he didn't have to bring that up. He didn't have to say that. Right?
I mean, if it's part of his story, it's part of his story.
Yeah, very true.
I mean, look at what Vince did to these women, though.
Yeah, very true. But I mean, like, how many women were in that division at that time that came in with a name? There's only two: Tamina and fucking Natalya. That was it. Nobody else had a name. The Bella Twins only became a name later on, and even then, John Laurinaitis was their stepdad, right?
Yep.
So that happened, and then outside that, there was no other women that had a name. Came in with a name, so he had to allude to two people, Tamina and Naomi, or Tamina and Natalya, and Tamina, unfortunately for her, hasn't been relevant. The only one that has is Natalya. So in a way, I felt like it was throwing shade. I don't hate the Undertaker for it. I think that the camera work did her dirty.
Where did he say that?
At the beginning, when he was introducing her, when he was giving the induction speech.
On the Hall of Fame speech, I didn't even notice.
Yeah. So there's a part in it.
I don't think it was shade, though. I mean, I feel like them all coming up in the division that they came up in and pretty much told that they weren't going to be shit. And I don't think it's really shade because Taker doesn't hold back. Taker's not going to pull punches because of feelings. And Natalya is a tough bitch. So it's not like I don't think Natalya took that any type of way.
Well, I think if Natalya didn't say anything about it, then it.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it was anything.
So, anyways, the main event, I didn't watch it, but the main event, I should go back and watch it because apparently it was really good.
Need to watch it. Not you should. You need to watch
it. Is it better than both the Hardy Dudleys and
I don't know about better. It's up there with that. I would say it's fucking incredible.
Well,
I think DIY with what they can do in that ring and what Machine Guns can do in that ring. The chemistry they have with the Street Profits is immeasurable how fucking crazy that match was.
Yeah.
That match was a whole ass hour, and I promise you it'll be the most fulfilling hour of tag team wrestling TLC you will ever see in your fucking life.
Nice. So looking at this, looking at Bleacher Report, some of the notes that they came out with said that DIY's entrance music is nowhere as good as it used to be. And
I've been bitching about that shit since they got together. Who cares?
Right. And to be honest, I think that they should go back to the OG DIY music. The Profits didn't make out much better with their newest theme. I like their newest theme, man. I think it's awesome. It fits their personalities now. I like Stevie Stone doing their entrance music. It's great. Next, it said seeing Ciampa without a huge beard is going to be hard to get used to. And apparently he split his chin up so that he had to shave his beard.
Yep.
Ford and Dawkins wore gear that paid tribute to Shawn Michaels, which is a nice touch in Texas. They always pay tribute to either legends or the city that they're going to, which is very important. The way Dawkins ran Gargano's head into the ring post was nasty. Once again, I got to go watch it. I'm probably going to watch it after. The spot with Shelley's head being wrapped with the chair and Gargano hitting it with another chair was nuts. Dawkins, go ahead.
When I tell you this is like that spot that you just read, reading it doesn't know justice. When you see that shit, you're gonna be like, "Yo, they did that shit on free television." Oh man, that match was crazy.
Yeah, and Dawkins putting a hanging Ciampa through a table with a spear from the ladder was a spot of the night. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it.
Yes, and let me. Yeah,
once this is over, I'm gonna go back and watch it. But yeah, from what I've seen of SmackDown, what I've been reading from SmackDown, it was phenomenal. It was great.
I will give you a fucking rating out of 10. It was a fucking 100, bro.
Absolutely. So, like with the scene set now, after WrestleMania, this is the debut or the season debut, I guess, of Raw and SmackDown and NXT, because I guess the seasons reset after WrestleMania. I don't even know if that's a fucking thing, but apparently they do. Right, so it's a new chapter. I'm really excited about it. There's been a lot of controversy over the weekend, from my understanding online, of like Triple H's booking of certain things. But I mean, like, what's the hate for? What's the hate for? What does it do for
outrage, dude.
It's fake outrage, and moving forward, I think we're going to see some really good wrestling. I wish that TLC match would have been on WrestleMania in place of. You disagree?
Hard disagree, and I'll tell you why.
Why is that?
Who stole the headline for WrestleMania weekend?
Cena.
Whose name was brought up time and time again of
Cena.
not being there? Nope.
Oh, not being there? The Profits.
Nope.
The Rock.
Correct.
Okay.
So number one. The Rock not showing up. That's all everybody talked about. Even though we had an incredible fatal four-way, an incredible triple threat, an incredible street fight, the only thing that people talked about that entire fucking night after it was over was The Rock not showing up. Yeah. Which, okay, valid to a point. Now, let's look into this TLC further. Where's the build? Where's the build for it to be put on a WrestleMania match? There was
there's no build.
And well, if you go back and look at that tag team match that was put on at the Rumble, I was there. 67,000 people were in that arena, and I was one of them. They did not react to that tag team match. There was no, I can't hear anybody because we're in a stadium. There's no acoustics that were fucked up. Nobody reacted. Because we're in a weird fucking point of wrestling where if you put too much good shit on a card, something's going to be forgotten. And I alluded to this when we talked about AEW's problem with debuts. You had Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan debut on the same night. I only remember Daniel Bryan debuting, not Adam Cole.
Yep.
And Adam Cole has been an afterthought for the last 2 years.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden he has a title just because.
Yeah.
So while I agree a TLC would have been a treat to have on that card, it wasn't needed. Even the New Day match, for as shit as that match was, it probably wasn't the best on the card.
But it wasn't the worst.
Putting the TLC match there would have taken away from Charlotte and Tiffy, would have taken away from that triple threat that main evented that night, would have taken away from Jay's moment. And then you go to the other night where, once again, we have 3 good matches that started off the show that would have been completely forgotten about. And we have a main event that nobody would be talking about because the TLC happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
Putting it on the card of where it went to, I don't think was an issue.
Yeah, I agree. I would have loved to see it if there was a build. If there was a build to it, right? Like, you could have replaced New Day, but even then, New Day winning the tag team championships as a heel group, there had to be a payoff to it, right?
Right.
And it feels like this whole weekend was payoffs for storylines, right? Like you had the New Day winning the tag team championships, Cena, getting that 17th championship, Drew finally winning a fucking feud, right there, and then like so many other storylines. Jacob Fatu finally, winning that United States championship.
Exactly my point. And
Yeah.
it's like people want to put everything that WWE does under a microscope.
Yeah.
So one side of the coin, sure, throw it on WrestleMania just for the sake of it being a TLC. Why not? Then you look at the other side of the coin where we just had an hour, not 5 minutes, not 10 minutes. We had a fucking hour of a TLC match that was arguably up there with the Dudleys, Hardys, and ENC.
Yeah.
On free
Absolutely.
television.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I have this feeling like in the coming months that if they do run with a storyline with The Rock, and I hate saying this, but they'll end up splitting the roster between TKO and then WWE, right? Where it's like an authority, and I don't want to see a fucking authority figure again on TV, but I feel like it could be coming where it's WWE versus TKO, and then you have some of these, you kind of split the roster where you see some people branching off and then supporting TKO, and they become TKO superstars, and then you have people that are organic to WWE. And so if that happens, I mean, that'd be cool for Survivor Series because you'd be able to build Survivor Series around that, right? TKO versus WWE, where it's like Team TKO versus Team WWE. And they could do, champion versus champion. They could do, your traditional Survivor Series match, which I love. I don't want to see another War Games for a while.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree.
I'm done on the War Games. Like War Games is great.
War Games.
War Games is great, but it's supposed to be a novelty match, and they're turning it into a common match, right?
Which isn't a terrible thing because I think all the War Games matches that have been done so far, with the exception of one of the women's War Games match, I believe it was, there's been good stories.
Yeah. But if you do it too much, it's overkill.
The appeal is completely gone.
Yeah, and
what
you
I would
could
love to see, and I don't know if they've ever done it off the top of my head. I don't think they've ever done it. I would love to see both shows' main champion, both shows' main mid-card champion, and both shows' tag team champions do a Survivor Series match, brand versus brand.
Well, I mean, they did that with bragging rights.
Yeah, but that's bragging rights. That doesn't count.
Yes, it's not traditional Survivor Series. I think that they have done that, where they've done the champions, they've done the women's champion, they've done the tag teams, but now we have more championships added into it. So, like, if they want to do the women's tag team, right, they could even like call up TNA and say, "Hey, look, we want your women's tag team champions against ours," and that would be good. And you could even incorporate TNA into that somehow. I don't know. But also, looking toward the future, we got Worlds Collide coming. We got AAA is involved in it with NXT and WWE. So it looks like we're going to be seeing a full Lucha show, which I'm completely for. Give me a full Lucha show. And if they decide to reinvigorate or reignite Lucha Underground, then that is going to be great for everybody all around.
I'm really disappointed that you can't watch Lucha Underground anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, it got taken off TV, and then they pretty much, except for like clips that you can find on TV or on YouTube, you can't watch full episodes.
Yeah, it's very disappointing.
Okay, so one other thing I did watch this week, and this is just like personal thing. I watched a video on the story of Penta, right? Because I've known Penta since Lucha Underground, but I knew Penta in Lucha Underground, and I knew Penta and TNA, AEW, and WWE, obviously. But there's a story before that, right? And the one thing that I learned is that the character of Pentagon isn't an original character. Right. It is a reinvigorated character, right? Mm-hmm. That reinvented character has had multiple iterations where the people that have had that character have met some kind of weird demise. So the original guy, he died, or he had a heart attack or cardiac arrest in the ring in the early 90s. And then you had the next iteration, he got injured and he ended up having to retire early. And then the next Pentagon ended up disappearing completely. Nobody knows where he's at. And then you have this version, Penta Junior, and so that character's been the longest running Pentagon, and he really took off, right? Like, so when he was in AAA, he couldn't get over, right? Like, he tried so hard to get over and just he couldn't, right? Because that's another iteration. That would be like if somebody took the Undertaker and gave that character to Damian Priest. Damian Priest wouldn't be able to get over as the Undertaker because he's not the fucking Undertaker, right? So once Lucha Underground spawned, and then Penta started getting some popularity in Lucha Underground, and then he had those matches with the Black Lotus, and then he had the matches with Mil Muertes and with Monster Matanza, and he ended up beating Prince Puma for the heavyweight championship and the Gift of the Gods championship, right? That catapulted him. And then when he went into AEW, and I know we like to shit on AEW, but the thing is, like, he gained more popularity with the Death Triangle, and then eventually when he won the tag team championships with Ray against the Young Bucks in that cage match, and then won the trios championships, that was great. And then him and Ray did work in the Indies as well as TNA, right? And then him and Ray are now in WWE together, right? So like the popularity of Penta has just consistently gone up. So I mean, it's pretty cool to see that and research that, and look at that. But yeah, man, I'm going to be consistently checking out MLW because I enjoyed their work, and I follow one of the guys that works for MLW on TikTok, Alex Kane, and he was their first black champion. He beat Alex Hammerstone for it, and I think Riddle beat him for it. I can't remember.
Wasn't Alex Kane on TNA or something? That name sounds really familiar to me.
He may have been on TNA. I can't remember, but I know that he did a lot of work with AJ Francis.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. That's where I recognize him from then.
Against AJ Francis, and then AJ Francis joined his team. I also did look at the Booker T and Zilla Fatu matches that they had. Reality Pro Wrestling or whatever Booker's promotion is, yep. And like the heel work that Booker does. I don't know if you watched it. It was so everything from the way he talked to the presentation. He had his mustache curled up like Sinister or Mr. Sinister or whatever the fuck his name is. Yeah, dude, perfect. And then him booking the match to beat Zilla was great. And then Zilla getting his retribution and beating Booker for the Reality of Wrestling Pro.
I would love to see Zilla show up in NXT.
I would too. Zilla, I know Zilla said that, hey, it's coming. He doesn't know exactly when he's getting signed, but I have a feeling it's coming soon. The man is, dude, he is great. I just would love to see him expand his moveset more. Right, he's a son of Umaga. Yep. He does the jumping spike, which is cool, but everybody does.
The jumping spike is so fucking good, though.
It's very good, very good. And he does the Samoan drop, which all the Samoans do. He does the hip attack, all the Samoans do it. Right, like set yourself apart, do something different than your family, right? To set yourself apart from them. Not saying that you're not a part of them, but you're something more. And I feel like that would be the key to his success. But the dude is great.
That's what NXT would be really good at pulling out of him is something different.
Yeah, put him under the tutelage of Shawn Michaels and Matt Bloom, dude. And that kid can go to the fucking moon. No questions asked.
Couldn't agree more.
Absolutely. But anyways, before we get going, Chris, what are you excited for this week, man? Whether it's personal, wrestling, whatever.
I'm excited to see what happens this week. We had the Raw after WrestleMania, SmackDown after WrestleMania, and NXT after WrestleMania kick us off into the new season. I'm curious to see how much story is going to come out this next coming Raw. Where do the Profits go from here on SmackDown? NXT, I'm looking very much forward to that Lexis King and Ricky Saints match. Same with the Tony D angle. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm curious to see where everything's going to go. There's a lot of different pieces moving around. More importantly, that Braun Breaker Seth Rollins. Wow. I'm still speechless that fucking happened.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited for that. I'm excited about all that, man. But also, a little shameless plug here. I was asked to be to help co-host a show on Thursdays. It's going to be pre-recorded, released. But with my buddy Jason Lassiter, Jay Lassiter, he used to be a professional or a paranormal investigator, and it's weird. A lot of paranormal investigators like wrestling, so found out he likes wrestling, and he's watched our show quite a bit. He doesn't really comment because he's got things going on, but he watches quite a bit, and he asked if I would be on there. Essentially, the show is not going to be a weekly thing. Like, we're not going to be covering the weekly stuff. We're going to be interviewing a lot of indie guys that are from Kentucky and Tennessee area. And then putting them out on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern or Central Standard Time. So yeah, I'm excited about that. We have our first guest booked, and that's gonna be cool. It's gonna be awesome. But I'm gonna say it here, and I haven't said this to Chris, but outside of this wrestling show and that other wrestling show, I am retiring from podcasting.
Really?
I'm not putting out any content for Recover Out Loud, and I'm not putting anything out for Beyond the Veil. I feel yes. So I took a break last year from it. I continued this because this was something I enjoyed, and I enjoy the podcasting. But I feel like that version of me has transitioned out of that. Right? It's not a bad thing. You and I have a good friend has done the same thing. He's transitioned from podcasting to music as his thing. And so for me, it's like transitioning from podcasting to natural healing. Not a bad thing. I don't hate podcasting. I never ran out of the love for it. It just feels like that part of my life is over. It's a chapter that's over. And we're still going to do this because I love professional wrestling like Chris does. And we're going to move in that direction. But as far as my other podcasts, they're still going to be up. You still watch them, but I'm stepping away from that. That part of my life, that chapter of my life is over. I'll still do appearances if people want to have me on the show and talk on their shows and talk about stuff. But as far as content creating and stuff like that, outside of this, I'm not going to be doing that.
Well, it sucks, man. I understand. I get it.
Yeah.
I hope it's a decision that you're happy with.
Definitely
gonna miss you in the healing community for sure.
I'll still be here.
Yeah. I guess, which kind of leads the question to something I'll bring up after we're done recording.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Happy for you. I hope it's something that you truly want, and hope it's something that you stick on. Yeah, man. It's a pretty big step for you. I'm happy for you, and hope that you find success wherever you're bringing your platform to next.
Absolutely. And saying that, I'm also going to say I'm working on a brand new intro for the show. I want to take us from StreamYard over to other platforms so that we can stream from there. Hopefully, get some more people involved in the conversations, because we get the same people. Not that I don't love y'all, but we get Michelle, we get Will commenting, and that's great. But I want to hear from other wrestling fans, other fans of professional wrestling, right? Maybe some of the fans that don't get to vocalize or don't get recognized for what they love in professional wrestling. Obviously, with exceptions.
Right.
But until next time, I hope you guys enjoy your week. I hope you have a really good week. I'm going to try to enjoy mine. I got something coming up that is tough. But until next time, I hope you guys have a good weekend. I love you guys. Be good. Much love. Deuces.